welcome to Xbox International Airlines, man. Flight number 30. I mean, what? I was going to say 36. 46, man. I'm reading my numbers wrong. Sorry, guys. I had a couple beers, but we're in flight 46, guys. 46. The final episode of this year, man. With this awesome crew, man. A lot of fun, a lot of cool stuff. And let's introduce this awesome panel so we can get the show started. Let us start real quick with Mr. Silent Cypher. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great. We're halfway through the work week. I'm so stoked to get to the weekend so I can actually catch up on games again. I don't know. I'd say this this last week going into the video game awards, things were a little rough. Obviously, I've had some time to bounce back, and yeah, I'm ready for the end of the year. I think this year has stayed its stead plenty, and I'm ready for 2023. So let's go.
All right. Sourblow, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Excited for today's episode. I got a little surprise in store for everyone, which I hope everyone loves and because I did spend a lot of time with it, and it was pretty hard. Not only because it was a lot of work doing it, but because when I was doing the editing and stuff, it was pretty hard because there was a lot of content that I unfortunately had to remove. I couldn't add everything on because then it would have been too long. But I had a blast editing because it reminded me of everything we went through the whole year, and it was a lot of fun. So your guys in for a little treat. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed.
I know. You put a couple videos of the God Louis. I know you guys did. I'm a handsome one.
You mean Goofy Louie? Nobody called you God Louie. You're
God
Goofy Louie.
Yes, God Louis.
Ain't nobody
Couple
calling you
videos of
God Louie.
Everybody loves Louis. I know that for a fact.
All right, Goofy Louie.
What? What are you calling me Goofy Louis? Mr. Plum, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm with Silent. We're getting to the end of the year. I'm excited for this year to end and start 2023, where we're gonna start getting a lot of great stuff. At least we hope. In terms of games coming out, unless they all get delayed. But other than that, I'm a little sick. I'm gonna be sucking on these things all episodes. So if I look like there's something in my mouth, there is. I won't be drinking a beer. But yeah, I'm excited to talk and see this video that Sarah has created. Should be a good time.
Yeah, Sarah put a video up together about me. I know that. He loves me. I know. That's gonna be
Goofy Louie.
And last
Wait.
but not least, this cool dude. I know he's been in the shadows lately, but hey, welcome back, Mr. Joanna Dark. How are you doing, sir?
I am well. To the chat, can you just put in hashtag Goofy Louie for me? Just since I'm making an appearance today, and it's great to be back with you guys. I miss being on the show. Unfortunately, a lot of things changed, and it's just great to kind of just sit back finally on a Wednesday night and just hang out. Can't wait for 2023, like many of you just said. Looking forward to the new year. Some exciting games. Can't wait for Nintendo to bring out some awesome games so then Silent can be angry at me all the time of how great the Switch is. And then I'm crossing my fingers that in 2023, after Resident Evil 4, Code Veronica is announced. And then I will come for Silent's knees again. But besides that, I've been playing some great games. Been benchmarking some games as I was able to get a 4090. I'm currently playing Need for Speed Underground, and I'm about to jump back into Cyberpunk, but I have to finish High on Life, which is hilarious if you haven't played it. But yeah, thanks for having me on.
Man, really, thank you for hopping on today's show. Even though it's the final episode of the year, man, we're gonna have a lot of fun. And hey, nobody's gonna ask me how I'm doing. No, nobody cares about it. Either way, though, I'm doing good, guys. Well,
Crazy. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
Today's your last day of freedom, right?
Yep.
Oh shit.
Yep.
What do you mean today's my last day of freedom, man?
1,000%.
What do you mean, guys? Tonight is my bachelor party. I gotta hop on. I'm trying. It's been just a hectic week. Picking up family members from the airport. I mean, literally last night, I got back home at 11 p.m. last night. I was just dead tired, driving around all day. And tomorrow's going to be another hectic day. And Friday, I think I'm just going to have a little bit of peace. So, yeah. probably tomorrow night gonna play a little bit, and Friday gonna play a little before Saturday happens, because if that goes on, I know my life is gonna change. Yep.
Is Friday the last day you ever play consoles ever again?
No, I will keep on playing my consoles. I'll keep on playing my
Sure.
consoles.
Yeah, you ain't gonna have no
All I
consoles. You
know,
like nothing for 2022.
I don't know about my gaming chair though, but yeah, I probably miss my gaming chair.
That's you've got your new carpet pad. You're fine, crazy. You'll survive.
Yes, guys, that would be a good gift, wedding gift, for carpet pad for Louis, because the Miz is gonna take away his chair. Yes, that's gonna happen. Yeah, you know that. But everything good, guys. Everything good. So Sourblow, man. But wait. Before I hand it to Sourblow, guys, what have you been playing? Let's start with you, Mr. Plume. What have you been playing lately?
I was recently just jumped into High on Life. I haven't played it much, about an hour or so, but I can't wait to jump back into it. It's one of those games that as soon as you put it down, you want to go back to it. So I gotta find the time to get through that game because it's hilarious, looks awesome, and I know I'm really going to enjoy it. Besides that, I've been trying some Gotham Knights on my Steam Deck, which it's pretty good. I haven't played enough of it to really have like an opinion on it, but running pretty good. Like I'm getting like 40 some FPS on Steam Deck, which is pretty impressive. So, but that's pretty much it. It's been really busy. Playing games right now for me has been hard. So whenever I get the time, I just try to jump in and play here and there.
Yeah, you're gonna have to give me those tips, man. When I have my kids, man, you've got to give me those tips on how you find time to play games.
Yeah, I was gonna say your life it could not potentially be over after marriage, but after you have a kid, it's done. You might as well just give away all your games.
Oh, crap. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that.
Look at his face. It's like that goofy Louis face.
Silent Cypher is having a lot of fun. I mean, literally, guys, what you guys don't know is that behind the scenes, Silent Cypher's been picking on me all week. He's enjoying this so much. What have you been playing?
I'll take it. You know what? I'll take it, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine if I sound like the jerk, because crazy, you have no idea the whirlwind that you're about to go into. And I'm so excited to see it happen. I can't wait. But in regards to what I've been playing, getting back onto subject, I actually just started High on Life today, which, man, what a starter to a game. That is quite a strong starter on a game. That was really good. I just downloaded The Witcher 3. I'm getting ready to jump back into that, hopefully this evening before I go to bed. So fingers crossed I'll get back into that. I can't wait, man. Looking at the visuals and everything that everyone's been reporting, that thing looks great. But besides that, I actually jumped back into Cyberpunk as well.
Nice.
Kind of excited about the fact that The Witcher 3 was getting its update. I had to jump back into Cyberpunk as well. So that's about it.
I mean, honestly, something though. I felt sad that I beat Cyberpunk, man. Really felt sad. It's one of those games where
No spoilers.
Oh no, I'm not gonna give you spoilers, but I just did not want to beat it because just the storytelling and everything about it. It's just an awesome game. Yeah. And also with Witcher, man, when you hop on a Witcher, you get to it, you're like, man, I don't want to beat this game, especially like the music, the sound. When you go, I love to play Gwent. That's my favorite thing in Witcher. I love to go into towns to play Gwent. And
Gwent is so good.
Yes,
it makes me really sad. Sorry, quick side note. It makes me really sad that the Gwent card game that they ended up releasing separately from the game, makes me really sad that didn't really catch on for the console side of things. I know that they're still supporting it on mobile, but man,
Cypher,
Gwent is so good.
Have you played Thornbreaker?
Thornbreaker.
So it's literally it's a Witcher story within the Witcher universe, and it's an RPG, but it uses Gwent as its combat system. So if you love Gwent, it's like you can probably find it right now for like literally $10-15. It's called Thornbreaker, and it's literally about the world of the Witcher, and you play as other Witchers within that world, and it's really good. And then if you love, even if you've never or disliked Gwent, they really do a good job of simplifying it for people that maybe didn't like it, to kind of put it into a combat system and an overall good story. So look it up. It's pretty cool.
Where do you find it? Is it mobile?
I think it's on Steam and it's on Xbox also. So if you want to play on PC, if you want to play, it's on Switch too, because I got it for Switch. So you can also use it for that.
I'll use it on my Xbox or PC.
Personally, I was gonna say real quick, something that I wish that they do for the next Witcher, for the newer Witcher, is that they somehow they tie it in where like if you're offline and if you want to play on your phone, that you can play Gwent, like you can kind of play it and you can progress your Gwent on your phone or on the cloud or whatever. I think that would be great if you could do that. Like from the something that like kind of like have it tie in with the Witcher itself. That would be great if you can progress like that way.
That's interesting, though, Sourblow. Sourblow, tell everybody what you have been playing lately, brother.
Oh wow. I've been playing Witcher. I every so often I play an hour or so, and I've been jumping into Metal Hell Singer, I think it's called. It's amazing. I love that game. It's the music. Wow, it's like it really gets me in. And then I jumped, of course, into High on Life. And Lord, that opening is like it's so hilarious. It's insane. One of the best openings I ever played. I gotta say, pretty good.
Which is your favorite song in Metal Hell Singer? How far are you into it? Because I'll tell you something. For me, my favorite song is from the third stage. I love the song from the third stage.
I'm like in the 4/5 stage.
Yeah, I'm close. I'm close to the end of it.
Okay.
Such a fun game. Such a fun game.
No, the game is
Mr.
phenomenal.
It is.
I love how when you finally get the beat. When I first played it, I didn't know you had to calibrate, so I was kind of messing up. And what I read online is to tap your feet like you're actually, going to the beat, kind of like the drum. And it also worked for me, so I was kind of tapping my feet as I was playing. But the game is fantastic. I beat it on Game Pass, and then I purchased it, so I can play it on PC. So I can start again. But yeah, it's definitely phenomenal. I love it because it reminds me a little bit of Doom with that Quake kind of feel to it. But yeah, overall it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice.
How about you, Mr. Ruck? We know you've been playing High on Life, but what else you been playing? Because I know you played like 50 games at once. So brother, tell us what you've been playing.
Yes, I'm the one. I'm the nibbler, right? I like nibbling on so many things, and then after that, like I told you guys the other day, I forgot that I was on the last stage of Evil West, and I completed Evil West. Loved it. I love the world of Evil West, the lore. It reminds me of the Order of 1886, but to the extent of also with some Van Helsing. Definitely, I can see and I hope there's a sequel that they improve a little bit more and make the combat deeper and kind of take a little bit of that jankiness. But overall, you know what? I have been enjoying this year of what I love the most, which is kind of those PS3 type PS2 games that were just they're video games and they're just fun to play. But one of the games that yes, however you want to call them, they're amazing. They're gems, right? Those 6s and 7s that I love. But one game that's really, I'm almost at the end now, and I kind of told you guys before, I think I told you this last week, is The Night Witch. So to kind of put in, The Night Witch is a 2D side-scroller Metroidvania game where you play as you start off as these witches called the Night Witches that get their powers from the people, and you end up becoming the fifth Night Witch, which nobody wanted. The cool thing about the game that I discovered is that it has sort of like a morale system. So what happens is after a mission, you have a PR person that tells you, cool, tell me what happened. How about this? How about we need to bend the truth so people can make you more powerful? And depending on the choices you make, you can lie to the people and get more XP or tell them the truth. And there's sort of a ramifications towards the end of the game, which I loved. It's called The Night Witch. It's actually on Xbox because I found out through Tony Grasso, who's playing it. That's on there. So if you like that Metroidvania, it's kind of like a bullet hell as well because it kind of encloses you like Doom in a kind of arena and you start shooting and stuff. Pretty awesome game. I got it for like $15 and it's been fantastic. High on Life, which I just mentioned, hilarious. Honestly, I know people are gonna probably look at me, what am I doing? I've never watched Rick and Morty. I've just seen commercials and I do want to watch it. But I played Trevor Saves the Universe in VR. And since I played that, I loved the person who the creator. And I just think High on Life is just fantastic. It's a homage to some things when you look at the TV shows. I love the weapons. and how you can mix things. Overall, a fantastic game. Again, a game that's just a video game with some cool elements to it that I want. The last game I went back to, which I needed to complete, if you're a fan of survival horror, I highly recommend to play Signalis. If you love Silent Hill and if you love Resident Evil, I highly recommend, excuse me, to play Signalis. Even though you know maybe you're turned off by the pixelated graphics and everything, but it's a really great story and really like spooky kind of like tension, survival horror game. But yeah, that's it. If not, we'll be here all day talking about the other games like Final Fantasy Crisis 4, which I started last night.
Oh man. How about you, Crazy? What you been playing?
Man, that is a tough question to ask. me
It doesn't
these
matter
days,
what you're playing, Nacho.
You might as well stop now because you're not going to be
Sure.
playing for a while.
Yeah, you're playing the game
You better
of life.
you better play everything tonight. Like I'm talking about
Yeah.
boot up a game every hour.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know why, but like these days, I just wanted to go back to Red Dead Redemption. I've just been playing Red Dead Redemption. I just love the game, just everything about it, the environment, everything. It's just it just feels great. I mean, I love Red Dead Redemption. Everything about it's just awesome. And I played a couple things. Oh man, seriously, thank God for Vampire Survivors on mobile. Really, thank God for that, because I don't see something. That thing has saved me these past couple days, especially since I was waiting for a couple stuff. I just got on my mobile, played Vampire Survivors, got my couple levels done. Man, had a lot of fun. Thanks to those guys really for putting that game on mobile, really. But yes, other than that, I'm gonna play High on Life later on this week, probably before what happens pretty soon. But yes, I sit down and play some High on Life, and yeah, I can't wait to sit down and try that Witcher 3. I bet you it looks beautiful, man. I bet you it looks
Lou,
beautiful.
you know what's a good game to play from when you're going to jail? No Way Out. That's another great game.
That's
So
true.
So
That's a great one.
Is this gonna be pick on Louis name for what I see?
The only thing is, in that game you can actually escape. Lou has no escape.
Yeah.
Oh, but I can escape from here though.
No.
No, you can't. Based on
I
all the
can't.
details we've heard, no.
I can escape though. I can.
Okay.
Sure,
Like
sure.
a ninja. I'll be called Ninja Louis.
Hey,
Be like,
can you
sleep.
show us your ankle bracelet?
Yeah.
I'm
Crazy.
not done, though.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You're
Still
you're
got
the
none
king.
yet, no. I've
You're the
got no
king.
ankle
I'll
bracelet,
give
no.
you that. So to give you all reference, Crazy's been constantly stating that he's the king of this whole situation. Of which, at this point, I think I would argue, yes, he is the king. He's the king of his own cell. The 2-person cell, I'm pretty sure he's the king at that, maybe, but his boss is not in that cell.
Don't you know that? Didn't you know that Motorhead even made a song for me? Bow down to the king. That's my song, man.
I'm pretty sure
Really good too.
Boxenberger would agree with me. Same with Pachu and all those guys too. They'd be like, dude, no,
Oh,
you
man.
got
Well,
owned.
I got okay. Well, it's time to let Sourblow take away the show and show those cool videos of the crazy one. God Louis. Yeah.
Wait,
you know who those are?
did Plume
What?
talk
Goofy Louie?
about the games he's playing?
No, not yet.
Oh, did you? I didn't
Oh
know.
my! Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he did.
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
he
okay.
did.
Yeah.
Wait.
Ah.
Oh,
I'm just-
my bad.
Oh
Sour, you
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Oh,
I'm
is
just,
that
a
the-
little, I'm just
Louis,
quiet. I'm just
Louis,
quiet 'cause
Louis,
throat
get
hurts
out
a
of
bit.
Sourblow. Louis, get out.
No.
Leave Sourblow, Louis. Leave that.
To
story
my
on
defense,
Sourblow. Come back.
defense, I was setting everything up. Okay.
Oh, you said
Sour had a Louis moment.
Well, I didn't have an interesting slate of games. It was just High on Life and a bit of Gotham Knights.
No. Yeah.
Yo, Gotham Knights is really good.
That's right. You said High on Life, which I think you've probably gotten about as far into
Real
it as
quick
me.
on Gotham Knights, right? I think it's phenomenal. I love it personally. I think what they did is they go with their own art direction, and to me, it feels like you're playing a comic book.
Like I've only gotten to I just did the first investigation, and like
Cool.
the combat and everything, it's super early on. It doesn't even seem that bad, so I'm not really sure. Like people were saying the combat's bad at the beginning, but like it seemed
So
decent to me, and I'm sure it gets way better. So I don't know.
I'm about 40
Oh.
hours in, and I've been doing a lot of the side missions to get my characters, up. And I like the fact that they all kind of get upgraded automatically instead of having to play. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I like the vision they went. That I get it. The Arkham games, if you compare them at the time, they are visually impressive. But I like the visual art that they use for this game, which is more comic book feel. So you're playing like a comic book. And I wasn't a fan of Red Hood, but I really like playing Red Hood now. But yeah,
Red Hood's the
overall,
best, man.
hey, please go to your corner. But anyway, but yeah, it's pretty cool overall. And like I said, I've seen it for $25 on PC, $30 on console.
Yeah.
The patch that went out along with that multiplayer mode. I would highly recommend Gotham Knights. It's a really good game. The studio never gets credit. They did a great job with Batman Origins, so definitely give it a try.
Yeah, and even that first opening cutscene, and then even like the acting cutscene after that was really well done. It's like it
Nope.
seemed pretty high quality to me, but I don't know.
What's your favorite character, Plume, so far?
I've only used Robin so far, so
Cool.
I barely like I said, I've only just started it, but
I fought Lou in the game as Clayface.
Well, why would I be Clayface though? Why don't you call me Bane? Because I do look like Bane. I gotta.
Yeah, probably like what comes out of his behind.
Crazy has a lovely singing voice.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Hey, and Umbra challenged you, Lou. He said he's anytime ready to battle you on the show.
Dude, I am so ready for that. You know
That-
what?
I
Name the date.
I mean, you
and
sound
we'll
like a
record
dying
that.
cat. He sounds like an angel, so
Yeah,
I don't know how that's gonna work.
that's not
I
even
was-
fair, man.
I will send the Barbara Streisand. Is it Barbara Streisand love?
No, you know
No,
what?
is that that?
You know
No,
what?
is that that? No.
We're gonna set the terms right now.
But
You both have to sing Charlie Puth's "Attention."
what? Charlie puts it.
That's what you have to sing. Just for kicks and giggles. That'll be fun. I can't wait to see you try and hit those high notes.
High notes. Well, I can sing opera.
Oh,
No.
Not the same.
Sorry, guys.
Alright.
Sorry, guys. But hey, Sal, before you show those cool tuners, I want to do a quick shout out to the chat.
Oh
Is that
yeah,
cool?
yes, please.
Yeah, let me do a quick shout out to the chat. Hold up, let me go up to the beginning and let us start first with It's Living Like Timmy. What's up, my brother? Oh, my brother Timmy went down the list by accident. Let's keep on going on. Talos, the man with the ray. What's up, Talos? Oh, Outbreak Podcast. What's up, Mr. Web Dave? Brother, happy to see you hanging out with us here. As always, Mr. Grasso. Mr. Grasso sounds like Mr. Anderson. Yep, that's what it sounds like. But yeah, that's pretty cool, But yeah, either way, let's keep on going down that list. Mr. John TJ, what's up, brother? Hey, John, we had to have our play dates because I know we didn't play on Monday, and I'm gonna have a busy week, but we'll probably go back to Fortnite, my brother. Cannot wait to sit down and play with you a couple more games. Oh man, woohoo! Let's keep on going down the list. Who else? Keep on going. Oh, the Fifth Horseman. How are you doing, brother? Happy to see you. Hello, Jack. How are you doing? Happy to see you here with us also. Ooh. Purple Haze. What's up, Purple? Cannot wait till tomorrow. It's just going to be a lot of fun. Keep on going down the list. Ooh. Is that all? Oh, Familia. Click. What's up, my brother, man? Happy to see you here with us, too. Ooh, Fantos, sir. Hello. Decado. Hello, Decado. Boss. Ooh, welcome, Mr. Hernandez, and welcome to Xbox International Podcast, sir. Happy to see you here with us hanging out tonight. Woohoo! Who else is here? Did I say? Oh, Umbra. Yeah, we gotta have that singing thing, Umbra. Me and you gotta sit down and sing one day. We have to, buddy. We have to.
Can't wait.
Yeah, we have to sit down.
It's
And
gonna
sing.
be like an epic
Yeah.
fail for you. Have you heard
Ah.
Umbra? I mean, Umbra's sung before when Randall Thor was on,
Yeah.
so you sounded like you were croaking.
So what? What do you mean? What? Oh man, what do you mean it sounded like crooked? But either way, though, Sourblow, take it away, my dear brother.
All right. For everyone that's on the chat, and for you guys, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play a recap of our first year, which we actually the 22nd we actually have a full year, and it has been a lot of fun. I thank everyone that's actually in the video. I try to, hopefully I didn't miss anyone. I try to put everyone that has come in as guests in the video, and I highlighted a lot of the things that happened throughout the year. Unfortunately, I couldn't add everything. There was a lot of things that I missed that I wish I could have put it all together, but then it would have been like a, I don't know, 20-hour video or so. But it's lots of fun. So hopefully you guys will all enjoy it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna be pausing it. That way we can kind of talk a little bit about it and have a little bit of like, so the chat can know a little bit of our background and everything and what was going on in so moment. So the first one was the pilot episode, which the the Xbox International started with Mr. John the Dark, Crazy Lou, Silent Cypher, and myself. Unfortunately, later on, Dark, because of work, he couldn't remain, but we still love him and we still feel he's part of the team. So let me go ahead and hit play.
Finally, we've been talking about this for over a month or so, and kind of it's finally happening. XBI is here.
Hey, I was
It's just been awesome. We got Halo a couple of weeks ago that we continue to play.
Yes.
And now here finally we come together to kind of sit down and just talk games and have a good time. What about you, Brian? What's up?
Oh no, I hear it.
I'm just excited to be here. Like you said, honestly, it's been in the works for a while, and I'm just happy that we're finally getting this up and running. I'm excited to play some games with you guys more, talk games, and yeah. What about you, Sourblow?
Super, super excited, muy emocionado, and just happy to be here with all three of you. I feel like it's we all have different things to bring, and that's gonna make this show very special.
Cool. What about you, Crazy Lou?
Oh man, me? Oh, I'm the most excited of the most. I mean, I'm actually a little bit, I'm a little bit too excited because wow, our very first awesome episode right now. I mean, not an episode though, but the pilot though, and it's gonna be pretty awesome. We're gonna have some awesome discussions today. I mean, we're gonna talk about why we came together to start XBI. We are also going to talk about how we got into gaming, which is a good thing, and talk about a little bit about us. It's gonna be a pretty fun pilot episode.
So basically, that was the pilot episode. If you watched the episode, we were pretty nervous. It was our first episode. I think we came a long way. Do any of you guys have anything to comment on the pilot episode?
I like Silent's background with the gym.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I narrowed it in closer. You can still see some of it right here. I think right here. Yes. But yeah, no. Obviously, when we started, it was very early on. We were still trying to iron out all the kinks. But yeah, no, it hits all the feels. I think for me especially, just the situation, like I hadn't done podcasting for quite a while, and then I had actually started it. I think it was at the beginning of 2021, 2022, with some of the guys that I had done podcasting with previously, and it was really cool to get back into it because it hadn't been since like 2006, maybe 2007 that I had done podcasting. So it was just cool to get together with a group of guys again and actually get to sit there and just like talk gaming and do it in this capacity. But yeah, yeah. Obviously, like things are still in works. Eventually I'll get to the point where this right here won't be in the image.
Okay. All right.
It was great. It shows, a lot of times we go on Twitter and we always see the toxic part of things and people fighting, but it was through joining Boom Shout out to Boom. And then in the chat, I actually Sourblow at me that he would like me to go on the show on that he had in Spanish, the gaming lobby.
Gaming lobby, yeah.
And then I met Silent through Xbox Chatter Days, as we were always there in the chat, and I'm always trying to beat Silent on who gives the most super chats, and that was kind of a running joke that we had on there. And it's just great overall, just to kind of look at that pilot episode. Personally, I've always wanted to talk about games, but I've never took the plunge into podcasting. I didn't even know about podcasting in the sense of listening to other creators besides Kind of Funny and Colin Moriarty. And then when I discovered YouTube during the pandemic, it opened a lot of my to different content creators, and that's even through Sour and through Crazy, I met other amazing content creators that are out there like Mav, Punk Soul, and so forth, which is great overall. So the community, we like joking around and we do all that, but at the end of the day, we're all gamers, and it's great to see how gaming connects us, even though sometimes we all bicker and sound like a bunch of old people. But yeah, it's great, and like I said, the friendships that we have, it's awesome. Now Plume being on the show here, and looking at Plume's content, it's just overall great, and just shows overall like a small pilot episode with us starting off, and then right now celebrating a year, just continuing, seeing you guys grow is always great. And I always have a great time being in the chat and just talking smack and just interacting with everyone.
Crazy. Do you think you had something to say, or?
I didn't see something though. That very first episode watching that was a lot of fun. I mean, before that, I remember we did like what was it? December 22 was that we did like a God Howard interview. Section was it? Oh man, that was a lot of fun. It was me, you, Mr. Dark. We started that, and we just sat down and just dissected that awesome interview, because every time Todd Howard goes on, his interviews are pretty awesome. Except for the last one. The last one was like,
it was alright. I mean, if you're a fan,
Yeah, but he talked more about the Elder Scrolls thing, because he kept on, he went into Starfield, went back to Elder Scrolls, but either way though, okay. But we had a lot of fun with that, and then we did our very first episode with Silent Cypher, which we met up online on chat, and me and you were behind Gaming Lobby before, and Gaming Lobby, as much as we tried to push it, we just couldn't pull through with Gaming Lobby. It was oh man, that was such a cool project. But hey, we landed here. We met such good friends. I mean, look, right now we have Plume with us. A lot of fun with Plume hanging out with us, especially all the stuff we talk about, man. It's always fun. It's always fun.
We're gonna get there too. We're gonna get there.
We're gonna get there, yeah.
So after the pilot episode, to add a little bit, I think, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but we weren't sure of who was gonna be the host and how we were gonna format everything. So I think what we did was, we each had like an episode that we were kind of like the hosts, and then I think eventually it was between Crazy and Dark. We kind of like had them as the hosts. But anyway, first episode, I don't recall who was the host, but I think it might have been either Crazy or Dark. So let me play that.
Another thing we forgot is that most likely they saw it and said, "Crazy Lou's birthday. Let's get this game out of here."
Yeah.
Nah, but anyway, Crazy Lou, what's up, man? Tell us, what do you think? What do you think about this?
Okay.
Because of the price, people came in. People, even parents. Now that I'm, fast forward. I'm a parent now. It's just the value to get your family in the door, or someone who I used to get customers that said, "Hey, you know what? I haven't played a console since the NES."
Everybody, and welcome to Xbox International. I am your host, the sexy one, the crazy one, the sexy fat version of Henry Cavill, the crazy one, Crazy Louis.
Man, I look like Stevie Wonder.
Everybody, I'm excited today.
He's already scarred. We lost
All of a
him.
sudden,
That's
I
it.
heard a message. I grabbed my cell phone and I go,
What
Good evening,
What was I
Richard.
doing,
"Oh my
though?
god!" And I sent it to y'all.
What was
and
I
you were
doing?
like, "Nah,
Why am I
that ain't
standing
you.
up?
Nah." I was like, "What?"
Can you explain that?
Welcome
I
to
look-
Xbox
really?
International,
I look like a big fat turtle.
episode
Half
3
of the time, Crazy Lou.
of Brian the Banished.
What?
Yo,
Good to see you guys this evening. So nice to have you guys here. That is awesome.
I got my Wandering Dutch shirt.
But you know what I noticed?
I need to get one
I
of
used to
those.
have more furniture,
Yeah,
but now that
too
you're
bad you
pro,
don't
you
look
have
as cool
nothing
with no
background.
beard.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm sorry, crazy, but Dutch pulls it off better, bud.
They should
I'm
call you the
sorry.
beard. You should be called the beardless Dutch.
You know, we go back to these games, and
man,
we have obviously we have
really took
memories of
you-
these
they really
games
took
as just
everything.
being amazing,
What?
and
What?
all the
What?
experience
Dude,
about it is great.
I haven't
It's like
seen
if we go
furniture
to
for like the whole year. What are you talking
Phantasmagoria,
about?
if we go back to Clive Barker's Undying, stuff like that, we have the memories of that being an amazing experience.
Crazy Lou and Mr. Joanna Dark, they think they're funny and they like to make little jokes. So today's my payback day. So, Joanna Dark, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Sourblow. I don't know what you're talking
Sorry,
and I know
sorry
what
to
I'm-
interrupt you real quick. As I said, I'm gonna have some fun today. So,
that was me with this.
unfortunately, while you started introducing yourself, I forgot I haven't put the, I didn't put the intro of the video.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
kind of were cut off. So can you start again, please? Crazy, you're next. And you know what I'm gonna do? Since you love doing your outros, I'm gonna let you open with the outro. Can you open with your outro, please? No introduction, your outro.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Go ahead. All right. So basically, those were like the first 4 episodes. We kind of like took turns. The first one was Dark. Then Crazy was the second host. Then it was Silent, and then it was me, which I kind of got some payback on Crazy and Dark. So
Well, one thing you're kind of omitting is we sort of, made each episode around each of our personalities. So if you
Yes.
notice too, the one you just put for episode 4 about you, because you're a terrible driver. So that was kind of like what we were going at first, as we were trying to see, a good flow. I mean, most of the time, we look at podcasts, and I'm pretty sure everyone says, "Oh yeah, just like anything else, I can do that." But it's not as easy as you think, especially when you're trying to formulate your words, your thoughts, even being on camera, or when you look at people that create videos. So it took a while. It took a little while to get our flow.
yeah, Crazy. You have anything to add?
Man, I look like a big fat turtle when I was back there.
Oh man.
I look like
Like the turtle in God of War, or like a Ninja Turtle.
Wait, the God of War has a turtle?
Forget it. Just
Forget
move on.
about it.
Just go on.
Oh dear Lord. Oh,
Anyway, Crazy, quick thing. When the episode is playing, if you talk, it's gonna sound over and it's gonna sound So just have that in
Mute
mind.
yourself. Mute yourself if you're
So pretty
having.
much-
Yeah. We don't want to
Okay.
hear Goofy Louie
Okay,
twice.
tell me to shut up. Okay. Okay.
Does Plume, Silent, or Dark want to add anything to the first 4 episodes?
I'm getting a good like recap of how it all started, because I found you guys just before you invited me to come on as a guest, and I'll be honest, it's because of Crazy Louie's Twitter videos and Good morning videos started popping up, and I was like, who are these crazy people? And then I found the podcast. But yeah, it's cool seeing like the origin story of XBI. I like it. It's looking good.
Nice. So, but don't give Crazy too much credit, because then he's.
I know,
gonna-
but
yeah.
Goes to his head.
I'm just an honest guy. That's how I found him. I still watch all of his morning videos.
Yeah,
Thought
they're,
it was
they're,
an Old Spice video with Crazy Lou in the shower.
Yeah.
You give me an idea.
do you sorry. Do you remember?
Gives me the power.
Do you remember what was the first Crazy Lou video you saw on Twitter?
Oh God.
Morning one has to be. I don't know when.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, our 5th episode, we had our first guest, which was Delilah HD. We were pretty nervous, but I think it for it being our first guest, it came out pretty good, and we got a lot of interested information from her. I took a little bit of some highlights. Unfortunately, there was a lot of more stuff there that I could have added, but I had to cut some out.
I mean, good thing we're on demand, right? You can watch the video, catch up.
Yes.
We're only a couple of episodes in, and if you want, if you catch the episode, Delilah's awesome. She's also on Grown Woman Gaming on Saturdays. So if you want to check her out as well, you can check her out there on her channel, Grown Woman Gaming. Some great ladies there talking games as well. Great podcast, great guests. So definitely check them out. I think they go at noon on Saturdays. But yeah, this was an awesome episode. As a first guest, we were all excited and kind of nervous. We just started, and it was great to just have somebody say, "Yeah, I'll be on the show."
Yeah.
To me, I'm very flattered because this is y'all first. I'm the first guest on y'all show. I've been lurking on it for a while since y'all launched. So thank you for the invite. I appreciate it. And I'm just glad to be here and ready to talk about some games.
The more and more I think about it, and I look at the whole Activision Blizz thing, I think it was more so about King and what King's going to be able to provide on the mobile side of the spectrum. As far as the whole exclusivity thing, I can't help but think of Minecraft as the example here.
Yeah.
Because it's such a huge franchise, and the fact that you can't expect a company like Microsoft to pull the rug up from up under the people with the IP as big as Call of Duty and some of the other franchises. Now, if you read this carefully, this whole article, the thing that's released, you'll notice a couple of things that weren't mentioned there, and I'll just leave it at that. Is that we already saw that on Twitter how I want to say Blizzard posted about, or Activision posted about the new title they're working on, and so it'll be interesting to hear like how that'll play out, right? Because that seems super interesting. Just the fact that we know that they're building something completely new, and we know there's no community for that, so they can't say, "Oh, this is already we got a huge fan base for this new IP." That's
right.
As I was editing that part of that segment, it was amazing to me. First of all, that that it was our first guest, and yet we were already talking about the Activision Blizzard thing, and I was like, wow, this has been going that long. I was like so surprised. But yeah, it was an awesome episode. There was actually some content that I had to cut because some behind the scenes reasons, but it was a great episode and we got a lot of information from her, so it was pretty awesome. Silent, do you want to add anything to that?
I'll say, and to very much her credit, she called me the grouchy old man, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Which was accurate, right? Like I'm not gonna name any names, but I very much got a style of the grouchy old man yelling at people, telling them to get him off the lawn. It was good though. It's like the conversation we had, especially since it was the first one, it was our first time doing this thing, and it was good. Like, all of us were having to shake off the rust or having to get familiarized to the podcast situation. Sour, what do you think in regards to this? Like, how did you take it? Because obviously for me it had been years, but what do you think about that first interview situation we ran into?
Yeah, well, to her credit and to Crazy Lou, actually, they were right about the whole AVK deal. And it seems that it's not gonna be exclusive. So they kind of got that. They nailed that. But Dark, do you have anything to add?
No, like I said, it was a great episode. I was excited and nervous at the same time, kind of seeing what questions we're gonna ask, make sure that we kind of, I guess, had our own sort of flavor and overall kind of how we did things. We like take, I think we all take great ideas from everyone else that does it well. I mean, hey, that's how it is, right? Technology and everything. So we wanted to kind of make sure that we made a good impression so that we can continue to kind of get more guests who want to come and just sit down and talk to us.
Yes. Quick thing. if you notice, when we started doing our thumbnails, we always themed it around. Well, the first few were around us because it was about our personalities, and then as we started going with the guests, we started theming them around the guests. Later down the line, we noticed that unfortunately, due to YouTube whole algorithm and everything and the presentation, you know, Sebastian, who's not here, who has given us some counseling, we have been changing a little bit the format of the whole thumbnails. But even the thumbnails were themed around our awesome guests. So just wanted to throw that out.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, what we usually can kind of let people know, when before we had a guest, we talk to them and kind of get their interests. And yeah, so we did our best to try to, celebrate our guests, because when they come on XBI, we want to let them know that they're welcome, everyone. So we wanted to make sure that people knew that, hey, they're the focal point when they come to XBI. It's about them, and we want them to share what they love about gaming and overall talk about the topics that we discuss every other week, revolving the news and everything else.
Correct. All right, let me. Well, our next guest was Jazz. And that's
I'll be
her.
right back, guys. Just in case, I'll be right back, and I'll be back in a few minutes. I gotta do something real quick. Yeah.
Right? We know.
Yeah, you know. Be right back.
So anyway, Jazz, and that's right there's her cat, Dubstep. So let me play the video. Okay.
Hello, I'm Jasmine. So when it comes to review scores, I have few thoughts on it. One, it's not a perfect system. Like Silent Cypher said, it's not a perfect system. I liked also Jazz's discussion about review scores and how, it's not the same medium as other entertainment mediums, but yet is kind of like judged the same way, and it's not healthy for this industry in itself. Two, I think numbers, there's not enough information to go based off of a number. That you're telling me this is a 5. Well, what does that mean by it's a 5 or it's a 3? It's very subjective, and at times not as objective as it could be. And so when it's subjective, then you're subject to somebody else's opinion. And that's essentially what a review score is somebody else's opinion who gets paid to do a review of a game. I don't know all the time how they're paid. That could be an influence on it. And so like for me, I don't put any stock into Metacritic at all. None. Like I don't, even if, after a game has come out, if it's got a good review, great. If it got a bad review, okay, well, that's what somebody else thought about the game. I don't know, because unless I've played it myself, then I'm the judge of what I'm going to like and what I don't like. Now, will I take recommendations from games? Yes. But usually those recommendations come from my family, my friends, people that play in my similar circles, and that's a recommendation to play a game.
Yes. So we had a very nice conversation about reviews, as you can see, and I don't remember quite the reason for that. What was going on at the moment? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny that we showed that episode, and that's such a big topic right now. But I think we was talking about the type of games that Jazz likes playing, and I forgot. I don't remember what game at the time that we were discussing regarding reviews, but she brought up some good points. At the end of the day, reviews are reviews, and you don't have to like. Sometimes I disagree with the people that I listen to for reviews, because at the end of the day, it's about you and the experience. I've played some games that I joke around with Silent that he says, yo, those are like 1s to me. And I'm like, no, they're 10s to me. But
yeah.
But that's the great thing about gaming, just like movies, we're going to like certain things. Jazz was awesome. We used to podcast on the Nickel Gaming Show. That's where I met Jazz, and I met her from working with her at Microsoft. And yeah, she has some great insights and kind of ideas around everything. So it was cool to kind of just sit down with her, come on the show and kind of talk, especially like I said, it's funny that reviews is such a big hot topic the last couple of months, and we were talking about it back then with Jazz.
Plume, do you agree with her take on reviewing games or?
Yeah, definitely. Like it's such a subjective thing. Like I think about some of the games that I actually had a lot of fun with. Like I remember when Crackdown 3 came out and just how much everyone beat up on that game now. To be fair, it's not like the highest quality of game in the world, but I had a ton of fun playing Crackdown 3. Same with Saints Row. Game got beat up, had a ton of fun with it. So if you literally just go off of like the number, you're not going to play a lot of games that you potentially could have a lot of fun with. I'm on in another group chat with my local friends here where I live in. Like every time there's a new game that comes out, it's like they always just literally take a screenshot of IGN and post the number, and it just like fires me up every single time. It's like, why does this even matter? Why does this arbitrary number even matter? It means nothing. Like go play the game or don't, but like the number doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, I believe High on Life right now doesn't have the best score.
I agree with Plume. I'm not a big fan of numbers. I guess that's certain sites need that. I love and I think games deserve to be discussed in layers. Like I like reviews that the person doesn't even tell you, just says, "Hey, this is this and this and this," and kind of leaves up to you to make that decision. But they give you enough information. ACG is one of my favorite reviewers. I like his Wait Buy or Rent because he's thinking about you as a consumer in your pocket and your time. But after listening to him when he talks about sound design, and now I look more into sound design when I'm playing games. But like I said, I like those type of reviews where we can have discussions and not necessarily put a number on a game, which I think does a disservice because at the end of the day, you then miss out on a game that could have been amazing. But you look it's a 5, so it must be bad. Again, I've said it many times. I love people say, "Oh, you like that 3-hour movie?" I love The Order of 1886. I love it. I love the lore and everything. And that game was dumpster fire when it came out. Like literally, it was a bargain bin 2 months later. But I love it. And I didn't listen to reviews. I got myself the nice collector's edition, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And that's what I've been doing this holiday. I don't even look at reviews at the moment. I just listen to them after I play, and I just play them. And I've had the most amazing time with all of the Twitter dumpster fires that we've seen in the past months.
Yeah, it's like I guess the main thing I think ACG is probably like the best reviewer, the one that I watch most consistently because he does such a great job at explaining stuff and very very unbiased it seems like in his reviews. But I guess the main thing for a lot of people would be in terms of like looking at that number right when it comes out. It's like, do I want to spend full price on this game? But the thing is, the games drop in price super fast. Some people will look at those numbers and then literally never even think about that game again, and then miss out on an experience that they would have loved.
Yeah, definitely. Well, anyway, speaking of a PlayStation game, The Order, even though we are Xbox, centric podcast, we do love gaming on other platforms, and we respect other platforms. So I think around this time, we wanted to reach out to someone that actually, had had a community on a different platform, and I think we reached out to Mr. Badbit, which was an awesome guest. And let me just play his video, which he is
real quick. To provide for this episode. Elden Ring was just launching, and it was the month of Forbidden West. And we wanted to get his perspective on why he wanted to tackle, I guess, Forbidden West first. And it was great to kind of have him because he covers PlayStation content to give us his perspective on why he was excited for Forbidden West, while many of us were just waiting for Miyazaki's, Game of the Year masterpiece. And it was a great episode. Like I said, we always welcome people that play on any platform.
Correct. Hold on. Okay.
PlayStation doesn't have over $77 billion of fuck you money to go out there and buy a publisher, right? Yep. Microsoft has that amount of money. To me, we put way too much stock into Metacritic, and it obviously shows because there are some people that are like, it's the reviewer's fault. And it's like, no, it's fine that this game is, again, a really great. It's like we're arguing over an A versus a B+. Both of them are great scores. Both of them are going to put you on the honor roll. So don't worry about it.
So yeah, again, we talked a little bit about Metacritic, and we did talk about Elden Ring. We talked about Horizon Forbidden West, and we talked about, as you can see, the whole. I think we were talking about the whole Activision Blizzard when he mentioned how Microsoft had so much money. And PlayStation doesn't have that money. So he was talking about how, PlayStation has to do other things, such as, lock out deals in order to, kind of compete, which, it's understandable. Silent, do you remember anything else or anything that you want to highlight from that episode?
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like anything we've talked about for the last 6 to 9 months in this whole situation has kind of been a bit of a blur.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. That being said, though, I think the thing to keep in mind still, in the process of all this, is the human aspect, right? It's great that we're going to look at getting more games. It's great that we're going to see all this stuff through this acquisition. But I think the thing we have to keep in mind in the process of all this is the human aspect. The people that are working in the background. The people that are dealing with this situation day in and day out. Not just on Microsoft's side, on ActiBliz, all that stuff, but there's a lot of people whose day-to-day is this. It's not just us sitting here talking about it on a podcast. I appreciate how much they've had to go through. I can't even imagine the situation that you would be in being in some of those positions right now. I mean, at the end of the day, I get to sit there and play a game that you create. Whereas you're actually stressing over this thing, you're trying to deliver this product. So I'm just happy. I'm happy to see that these things are finally starting to come to fruition. But fingers crossed. I mean, obviously we've been talking about it for months and months and months. But I just hope that eventually there's kind of a closure for everyone that's been involved in this situation, so we can all get to the point where we all get to sit down and actually enjoy the games and see the fruition of this whole situation.
Sour, you brought a good point that Mr. Badbit also pointed out. I like the fact that each platform offers something different. Nintendo does it with their Switch, and the ability to take games on the go and within the limitations. One of the things that I'm a big fan of personally about Nintendo is that it's, people make fun of the fact that it runs at 12 or 15 frames per second, but their developers do an amazing job in art direction and so forth. I like that Xbox has Game Pass as a way for you to try games and kind of get discovery. When I want to go for big blockbuster titles that have this quality that has been there for such a long time with some great IPs as well over 20 years, you have PlayStation. So personally, at the end of the day, I want these three platforms to have the identities that I have grown up with, that they do things the way they want to do it. Because it would kind of be boring if they're all the same. I mean, I know at the end of the day, they're all going to be the same in the sense of what they want to offer from a services standpoint. But I like that each of them have their own identity that one can go. So when you're on a different platform, you're like, okay, cool. I know if I want my multiplayer games hanging out with the family, let me go Nintendo. If I want to go over there and play some amazing multiplayer games along with some other things like Doom and everything, I got Xbox, and some great indies. Hey, if I want to play these blockbuster titles, I got PlayStation along with some of the catalog of IP. So, or PSVR if you're into VR. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I'm gonna play this video, and then after I played it, I'm gonna pass it around to you guys, and I'm gonna do my thing. My world record.
Praise his name. God Newell.
Okay.
Casuals can't play Returnal, and casuals can't play Souls games. They aren't for casuals. Those are for people that play games intensely, that have a lot of time on their hands and are very patient. That's not a family man that just sits down after work for an hour and plays a game. It's not a Souls player. It makes no sense to just charge someone for such a basic thing. And the implementations that they've done for this cross-generation upgrade that they've got in the upgrade tax that they've got isn't even worthwhile upgrades when you see them in comparison. Like, it's DualSense and 3D audio support. Both Adios and Crystal Dynamics have got nothing to prove. You've seen the capabilities with the previous Tomb Raider trilogy. Like, that thing was beautiful. It played so well. It was such a great game.
Okay, so in that episode, oh sorry, let me go back. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, so in that episode, I think Dutch surprised us, and he came as a surprise guest, which was awesome to have him. He's a great guy.
You mean Kratos?
Yes. No, he's the guy that fought Kratos. Baldo, yeah. That's what he is. Awesome guy. He's the leader of the collective. If you don't follow him, please follow him. They actually have, I think they still have running a charity right now, which it's awesome on their part. There's amazing. That's actually how I met him. I think years back, he was doing like a 24 hours charity, which, awesome guy. So definitely follow him. And, it's great to be part of the collective with him. So, you guys, first, I'm gonna pass it to our Captain Silent, and I'll be right back.
Hey, I'll help you. Plume, what do you think about this episode so far? Like the last 2 episodes?
It's good, man. You guys had a lot of awesome guests early on in the startup of this podcast, so it's really cool to see them come on. And Dutch, just the most recent guest, what he just said there. Yeah, I agree with the stuff that he was saying there with the upgrades and the $10 taxes for the next gen stuff, especially with a lot of the games that are coming out currently that, I mean, they're having like those issues with optimization and all that type of stuff. So, but so far, like, I mean, I wish I would have tuned into the podcast earlier before I came on, kind of thing. Lots of good guests, lots of good information.
Yeah, no, Dutch is awesome. He's surprised that they, came on, said, hey, let's get on the show. I'm going to ask you a question, and you brought a good question up as we're talking about this. Do you feel that sort of like the pandemic, along with, Unreal 5 now and a lot of technology coming out, kind of put a little bit of, put developers kind of a little bit, set back developers a little bit in learning some of these tools that we're kind of seeing them in the learning stages? So as much as we see a lot of, vitriol and hate towards developers, calling them lazy, which they're not, is it a thing of, kind of, we always say, hey, COVID, do you think it's something that has to do with COVID and, not being able to be together as a team and kind of learn these things on the fly, especially with a new generation?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. Like, I think definitely the pandemic had some effect on it. I mean, obviously you're going from working in an office where you can just run over to somebody working on a part of the game and ask them a question if you need help, to being alone and having to go through like whatever program they use. I mean, I work from home and it's a much different experience. So I totally understand where they're coming from with the working from home thing and having to adjust to that. But one thing the one thing that does confuse me right now currently, what we've seen with a couple of games is why is like optimization on PC worse than on consoles at times, like with even just the Witcher update that just came out. Apparently there's issues on PC, and you would think that in this generation, this isn't like the olden days where it's like you had to make games for like the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, which were just like completely different platforms. Right now, essentially isn't developing a game like you develop it for PC and then you just optimize it for the other consoles. Are all pretty much using the same architecture. So to me, I wish I could understand more on the process and how they go about it to know why would a PC have worse optimization than like the PS5 or whatever, or the Series X, stuff like that.
But I think, and that's a good thing. I mean, yeah, I just tried The Witcher while we were on air, and it stutters to the point that I was like, nah, I'm good. But I think it also has to do with many configurations that you see on PC, at least with console, right? Currently, we have PS5, Series S, Series X. Let's just talk about it in that sense right now. On PC, you have someone running a 970 still with like an AMD, like Thunderbird, whatever processor, and I think that can also lead because on the PC, even though it's supposed to be the top platform, they also have to account for the type of RAM, the type of all these different factors that are in different rigs and how they work. So it'll be something. I wish we can talk to a PC developer to really educate us on this, because they might just be like, "Yo, you guys are dumb."
Yeah, and the other thing too is like the average consumer is not noticing a FPS dip to 55 or 52, right? Like most people, we go on Twitter and we see these comparisons where it's like one section of the game where it's dipped down a couple of frames and everyone is comparing and bitching about it. But the reality of the situation is most people aren't noticing that. Most people actually don't really care. Most people aren't zooming into the pixels and saying, "Oh my God, look how blurry this little thing in the game is." So in perspective, it's not as big of a deal, I think, as like gaming Twitter makes it out to be, or even gaming YouTube makes it out to be.
Well, remember some people by mistake downloaded the PS4 versions of Call of Duty and they were like, "Oh my God, look how great it looks," but it was actually the PS4 version. So I don't take Twitter sometimes serious, because at the end of the day, like I said, right, 10 million people or $10 million was made in 3 days for Pokemon, and that game was running. I haven't played it, and people did not care that things were floating away, random funny things was happening. And at the end of the day, they love the franchise. So sometimes we just kind of see that in the ether. I mean, do I want that? No, but I definitely want better optimized games, because like I said before, as games get more expensive, because it's an expensive hobby, then I expect the quality in the sense of how you give me, because I don't want a game that you told me that I'm going to enjoy. Oh, but hey, I'm gonna put in that level 2 years from now. Then I always said, and again, I have asked, I would love to see certain games that are big get the early access tag, but I also know that's also a little thing that kind of goes into kind of like money wise, and like, why put an early access tag, because that can also hurt the sales of a game. But in the sense of, hey, if a game is not complete, but I definitely want to quality games. Like when I play, for instance, certain titles, it's great to just be able to play some of these games that are just working from day one, and the things that I wanted in there are there. I'm not waiting to play the original vision. I want the original vision from day one.
Yeah.
I have a question that I just thought about. It came into my mind. We don't really want, us gamers don't really want cloud gaming to become the thing, but eventually, that's where we're heading. Do you guys think that when cloud gaming becomes the thing and everyone is actually development for cloud gaming, would that actually be better for the developers, meaning that they only have to develop like for the cloud, and maybe that will remove some of the stress they have, and then they don't have to worry about what RAM you have, what CPU you have, what graphics card you have. They're just development for the cloud, and they know what everyone is going to be running. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, ultimately, yeah. I mean, in a dev sense, right? If you can focus for one specific or system requirement, right? That makes a lot more sense, and that makes it a lot easier to customize and fine tune that game moving forward, right? Like if you're able to focus on just that specific requirement instead of having, okay, I've got PC over here, I've got Xbox Series S and X over here, I've got I've got PlayStation or whatever other systems are supported. If you have one specific guideline that you're focused on, and you're trying to get your system or get your game set up for that specific requirement, I think that'll make it a lot easier. I think the thing is, the biggest issue we run into is the internet infrastructure, at least in the US, is not to a point yet where we're able to be like, okay, yeah, everyone has this exact same requirement and everyone meets this exact same requirement for your games. Like it would be great. I would love it if all of us were able to stream at 4K at all times. But I mean, yeah, I'm sure everyone, at least a couple folks in the chat at least, run into the same issue as I do, where when I'm streaming a 4K movie, it starts to buffer or other issues happen like during the stream, right? And it's like, imagine playing a game. Imagine playing something like The Witcher and you're facing a bear or you're facing something really big, right? And you've got very specific tactile responses that you're trying to respond to in that game. And your internet quality drops down to nothing because, you know, everyone else in your neighborhood or your internet or whatever drops out. Like we're just not there to the point yet.
No,
where we can say like everyone can have the same experience. I think once we get to the point where the internet infrastructure is understood more as a utility instead of just something that's like a bonus to us, right? Because as of now, it's not recognized as a utility. So like once it gets to the point where it's actually understood as a utility and it's supported accordingly, maybe we'll get to the point where we actually have more parity across all the areas and stuff, and we can actually have a team develop accordingly for that specific thing. But I mean, you know, hopefully in the next 5 or 10 years, we'll all be streaming and be able to actually play these games in that scenario and not have hardware that pulls us back as far as the requirements.
Yeah, it's a great thing you brought up, you know, the connectivity issues and all that. Our next guest was actually ASCAP. He's from Colombia. He's a great guy I met from the gaming lobby. And, you know, he's all over Twitter. You can follow him. He's a great guy. He likes playing a lot of games. Let me just go ahead and play the video. Play the video.
Yeah.
I believe it's more like a cultural issue. So it's and not I'm not talking about the culture of company culture. It's a cultural issue in generally speaking, in our society.
Yep.
So it's and it's something that we need to be conscious about, and how we behave with others and how to treat them and respect them and treat them equally. Like, I know more than you are not. So it's I believe it's more like it in those areas. So it's something that the problem is also that in the technology industry, I'm not gonna talk about the video game industry, but the technology industry has been if you see the rates of hiring males versus female, I mean, like it has been like a trending. However, we're living in a wave where we're getting more female figures in our companies, and we need to embrace that. So those brotherhoods and behaviors that we used to have, because we were used to work with men, and I believe the world is just evolving, and we need to adapt to that, and we need to accept. Like, for example, I have a daughter. So I wouldn't like my baby girl to be subject to a horrible situation like this one.
Yep.
And I remember that when she was born, I mean, she's 2 years old, but when she was born, and people like told me, you have a little princess. I said, like, warrior princess. She is gonna decide to be whatever she wants to be. She wants to be a warrior. That's good for her. She wants to be a princess. That's good for her. I mean, whatever it's gonna be up to her eventually. And I mean, like my daughter, she plays with cars. She plays with toys. I mean, like, I don't have a differentiator, and I try to raise her like, you are not. I mean, you shouldn't be undermined by anyone in this society. And how he's strict and how he kills his. I mean, like the shocking moments of his trauma and how his hatred against the gods grows within him. So that's something I would like to see, because that is I believe that is essential to the character. I've never seen Kratos as a family guy. So, and actually, in the last God of War, you don't see Kratos being a family guy. You see still that core element from Kratos, the original games in there. So, it's something that I would like to see.
So that episode, at the beginning, the first part he was talking about, I believe we brought up the conversation because we were talking about the whole Activision Blizzard when they were having issues with the whole things with, everything that was going on there. Unfortunately, it felt like almost every week, there was a new case where there was unfortunately, a woman being, either sexually assaulted somehow verbally or whatever the case was. And, we got into a great conversation where he was talking about how the culture was before, he felt that, because most men had that type of job, development job, that's why they kind of acted a certain way. And, the industry is evolving and they haven't adapted yet. A lot of people haven't adapted and they're going to have to start to adapt. And then the second part, he was talking actually about God of War, which is, it was kind of funny because, now we got God of War Ragnarok, and we got a little bit of his take of what he wanted for the next game and how he was comparing, the God of War 2018, that's how everyone knows it, comparing it to the previous one where he was like, just like, Kratos, I want to kill everyone, etc. And then, with the first God of War, the 2018, we started seeing more of a more mature Kratos that, wanted to act kind of differently. Now, I'm gonna go with you, Plume, since you recently played Kratos. What do you think about his comments now that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he kind of predicted. Wait, what am I? Am I allowed to say this?
Yeah.
Is this
well? Well, you kind of didn't really spoil them.
Anyways, I guess he had like he had a good like he had a way that he wanted God of War to go. So it's interesting how God of War turned out if you've played it. I'll put it that way. I guess that's not really spoiling it. But if you were saying it's relating back to the Activision Blizzard stuff, and I'm just thinking he's sitting here like throughout this video so far, I think since from your first guest, we've been talking about Activision Blizzard. It's been so long. And I put out a video on my channel the other day and somebody commented, and usually like I just ignore all the negative comments, like, because there's no point, right? But he commented and said something along the lines of, oh, back when you were making videos at the beginning of the year, you thought the deal was going to go through and now you're not sure. And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I mean, the information of this entire thing has lasted so long and there's always evolving stuff. So like, obviously opinions are going to change based off of new information that comes out. But it's been so long and it's always something kind of new that's been coming out about it. So that's why everyone's continuously talking about this stuff throughout the entire year. And it's crazy to think how long it is. I went back and checked out my videos and I have so many videos talking about this thing. I didn't even realize how many I made because every day it seems like there was some new news drop that kind of changes the dynamics as to what is going on. So yeah, it's been too long. I want this thing to end.
I think with this episode with Oscar, everyone's talked about this, has been covered through Bloomberg and all the other things, is about, it's the gaming and a lot of certain industries are male dominant. And when you have, females, or you want to get more women to kind of get more talent that's out there, it makes it tough when you have these type of practices and these type of kind of, what they call, right? Like dude bros and all this stuff. So it was, as a parent who has one daughter who's 7 and he also has a daughter, we want a world where we can encourage more women within gaming and other different sectors so that it's not that type of environment. Because again, there's so much talent out there, And if you have so many barriers that stop that, we're not going to get these amazing creators to give us some amazing experience that you never know they can create. Who can be the next, Ken Levine, who can be the next Neil Druckmann, who can be the next, Rod Ferguson, all these amazing creators, or, so it was a great episode, and kind of talking, like I said, with this whole ABK deal that, Jesus, it's been this long. I mean, look, Lou got married and finally showered. So,
What do you mean I got married? I'm not married yet. Not yet.
Is that your prison? Is that your registration suit before you get your actual stripes?
Oh dear Lord! Should I change it though? Do I look like a prisoner?
Oh man!
Yep. That's
you look like a guy who's about to go to prison.
That's what he's signing in with.
Nah, I look like a young Henry Cavill.
Okay, I'm gonna try to move a little bit faster because we're only on episode 10. So what I'm gonna do is
get to Todd Howard as our guest.
Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna be playing it, and then I'm gonna be asking one at a time.
I was gonna say something before I go, because I gotta run, I gotta go.
Let me play this. Let me play this last one before you go, because I have a feeling there's something about you on this one.
Oh dear Lord, is it me with the wig on? No, do not play that, please.
Yeah,
don't.
play FIFA.
Oh dear Lord, please don't.
What the hell are you wearing? Are you playing PUBG? Are you playing PUBG?
Why do you want to put me in timeout though? Why?
Taylor Lou Swift, you know what you did, and we're not going to repeat it.
What did I do though? I just put on. We were going shredding. You guys.
Sourblow, you got it. Put them on.
So that episode, Crazy Lou was wearing his whole like PUBG outfit. I don't know what was going on crazy there.
Oh, what was I wearing that for? I forgot though. It was because something got announced that day, so I decided to wear all that stuff. I don't know for what that was for though.
Oh man.
I gotta backtrack, remember for what that was for though. But yes, that was my PUBG costume though. That was not my PUBG. That was for something though. I forgot for what it is though.
That was for PUBG.
Really for PUBG?
But anyway, yeah. Crazy. I know you. You have to go. You got something very important to do. But before you go, I believe you have something to say.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you guys, really from the bottom of my heart, really, I'm gonna tell you guys, really thank you for such an amazing year. You guys have really put a lot of hard work on this channel. You guys have done a lot of stuff. It's been really an awesome year hanging out with you guys. I really love you guys to death. Really appreciate all the stuff you do behind the scenes and on the scenes. Really, I really do. Really thank you all for all that stuff, really. Thank you for all that stuff you all do. Seriously, I really want to thank you all for that.
It's a beautiful eulogy.
Yeah, that's...
yeah, crazy.
Crazy, you almost make me feel bad for busting your balls so hard the last little bit.
Oh, no, yeah, no. You guys... I'd say something. That's part of the things, though. I mean, I love when you guys do that, because really it makes me really stressed, because this year has been a stressful year with all this wedding going on, a lot of stuff going on. It's just been crazy, and you guys have been, what's it called? Like hanging out my shenanigans. That's what it's called. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah, and I've been doing a lot of shenanigans because it's just been so busy with a lot of stuff. It's been just an insane year, and I know next year I'm gonna put a lot more hard work than I did this year. I promise you all that. But again, really, I want to thank you all for this amazing year. You guys are freaking amazing. You guys do a lot of cool stuff, and really thank you all. And also to the guests, if they hear that episode, I want to thank all the guests for hanging out with us, coming to the show, even though I did a couple embarrassing things, especially during the Randall Thor episode, man. Oh my God, and let's not get to Miles Dumpier. Oh dear Lord.
Lou, a couple of embarrassing things. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of embarrassing
things. We have too many, far too many.
Let us know, when it's visiting hours so we can hit you up.
Yeah. But anyway, Crazy, myself, we truly appreciate you too. And, we do love you. Like I said before, you are the heart of XBI, and it's sad that unfortunately today's our last day. We're gonna lose you, and
no, you're not gonna lose me. Don't say that. Then everybody's gonna think that I will be back on XBI. Guys, I will be back on XBI. Do not think that.
Rest in peace, Crazy Louie.
He's gotta be in prison
during rec hours. During rec hours when he can go work out.
Don't bust my chops because I'm getting married and yeah. So
he's getting married, and
if you don't believe us, check the video. He had more furniture, and now he has nothing. Like he has a backpack back there.
He's got a carpet pad.
Look at all that stuff. That's the push.
Oh, sure. That's your mom house right now. Wait till you move.
What? That's all you own in the relationship.
I'll be honest.
Where's the porta john?
I'll be honest with you. Damn. Thinking about it, you're all right. That's all I own in the relationship. Shit.
Hey, Luke, Luke, are you gonna eat that biscuit?
What biscuit?
But crazy. Go have fun.
Yeah,
I know today's your bachelor party. Please enjoy.
And last but not least, I want to thank. Before I go, I want to really thank the community. You guys, really community. Really guys for hanging out with us each and every episode. I really love you guys to death, and I hope that you next year come out and hang out with us even more. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I mean, it's gonna be insane. Seriously, guys, community, you guys rock. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate y'all for hanging out with us each and every episode. Love you all to death. See y'all. I'll probably log in next Wednesday, probably. So probably,
No, he won't.
He won't. Don't wait for him, guys.
He won't. He won't. He'll probably forget and be like, "Oh, that was."
He's gonna log in with prison bars right in front of his face.
He won't forget. They just won't let him.
Oh, General, he wants to take my spot. Hey, Jen, man.
Yeah.
Jen,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Jen,
as long as he wears Mimir's horns.
Jen, man, you didn't have to ask that, Jen. You're on whenever you want, but you're a brother.
Jen, you are always welcome.
You're always welcome, man. You are a brother, Jen, the General. See, that's my favorite thing every time I see him. I think he's getting annoyed by that, but either way, though, community, thank you all. Love you to death. And hey, I will see y'all next Wednesday. Bye, guys. Love you.
Have a good time.
All right, take
Good
care.
luck in prison.
Have fun.
Good luck in prison.
Doc Dark said, "Are you getting divorced?" You look like you're getting divorced.
I'm getting married, man. Why would he get married?
Soon.
He in love, like for real? Oh, dear Lord. Purple, get him for this. Come on, Purple. Get him. Oh, this discussion they had like the other day, And yes, get him, Purple, get him. Oh my God, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We get the terrible photos after Crazy's evening of debauchery. We're not going to post those online, but just understand that he's being judged accordingly.
I make no promises about not posting online or on my channel.
Maybe an account, Xbot123 might post them,
But you should call me on Discord on my bachelor party. I want to see an XBI episode. Bachelor party. XBI episode first bachelor party. That'll be pretty cool.
I don't want to have to clean my eyes from the filth that's about to occur.
General, he said 150 beers tonight.
Yeah, you could barely get 150 sips.
Oh,
look at him.
Jen already had.
And guess what?
So yeah,
Vic the Click can't pay Vic the Click anymore to lie for you.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Well, you paid Vic the Click.
Yep.
What?
Hey, by the way,
Louis,
since you
we had a conversation with Vic, and he revealed the truth about your situation.
Oh, what? Oh,
yeah.
No.
Yeah. By the way, since you guys,
it was just like CMA papers, man. He just took out the papers.
No. Wait, Wonder Dutch. Wait. He says Louis scheduled his wedding on the same. No, Wonder Dutch. My wedding has been scheduled for like 8 months. Everybody knows that. 17. I'm getting screwed.
Anyway, since you guys mentioned Vic LeClick real quick, I just want to say prayers to his dad.
Man.
Hopefully he gets well soon.
Yep.
Yeah, I hope he gets better, Vic. I know, man. Damn, Vic.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I know you don't want to go, but goodbye. Go have fun. All right, we gotta move on.
Later, inmate of the Callisto Loop Protocol.
Oh man. Anyway, I'm gonna move on, and I'm gonna play. Our next guest was Kay Asante, so awesome guy. Let me just play the video because we lost a few.
Did Louis leave his mic or his camera on?
I remember that issue. Funny, I had just moved to the United States. I happened to work at an EB Games at the time.
Okay.
Depending on which the motor for the PS2 kept dying. So depending on which one it happened to land on, all of a sudden the blue discs don't work anymore, or the white discs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. The first time I remember playing any game at all, and I say this, and some people, and this is how we determine who's old school and who isn't. Chips Challenge.
Challenge.
See, who recognizes Chips Challenge here? they within Microsoft right now, right, and the current acquisitions notwithstanding, right, they have a lot of game engines under their purview. It being a very apt example, right? People and we're all varying degrees of understanding of the deep details of game development. No one person understands the full ramifications of it because new parts and new aspects are discovered all the time. But look at id Engine, like the id Engine version that's going on right now, that's available right now, like the equivalence of POS hardware can run almost 200 frames per second on id Engine. It's the most amazing thing out there. Whereas, not to throw Yakuza under the bus or anything, but the Dragon Engine, you can have a big beast 3080 and you're barely scratching 60 frames per second.
What do you mean? I've been live for a while.
Right. Okay, so that episode we had Kei Asante, which he talked a little bit about technical, basically game technical things, and he talked about what was it? The chip silent. Well, you were the only one that knew about this. The chip game, or was it? Can you tell me about
Chips
that?
Challenge, man.
The Chips Challenge. What is that all
Chips
about?
Challenge from back in the days in Windows 95. It was a really cool game that was actually included in Windows 95, and I'm not going to bore you guys with the details on this, but it was one of the options that you had as a game that was baked in. That one, Ski Free, Solitaire, if I remember correctly. I think there might have been one more, but yeah, no, that was the thing, right? Like Chips Challenge was difficult. Same with Ski Free. Ski Free, you were kind of locked into a situation where no matter what you did, you always got eaten by the Yeti or whatever it was, the Abominable Snowman, I think is what it was. It was so good. It was so good. Those times in 95, and it was great too because like the system was slow enough that you couldn't play the game at a fast pace anyways. So it wasn't it wasn't terrible. Once you got to faster processors and stuff, like the games ran too fast. The frames didn't match up to what you were doing. And so like the games were destroyed. They eventually stopped providing them because they didn't run properly for the new operating systems. But it was a lot of fun. It was a time and place of which all of us old men remember.
Does Plume or anyone in the chat know what Chip Challenge is? If you're in the chat and you know, let me know if you know what is Chip Challenge.
I may not be as old as you, Silence. Fortunately,
man.
Dark, when he was talking about the Dragon Engine, and I think it was the it software engine. Do you recall what?
Well, we were talking about how these engines are really scalable. If you look at id, right? Doom runs on everything. You've seen those memes where it's like on a pregnancy test or something. But
Yes.
when me playing, so mind you, I've played Doom. Was it Doom when it came out? 2018, yeah, 2018, and I played Doom Eternal, and I've played it on Switch. I've played it on via xCloud, and it's such an optimized game regardless of the configuration. It just shows how technical and how scalable that engine. And I know we were talking about this earlier. Remember, we had one of our guests, developer Elaine, who was talking about how games are being developed, especially now with what happened with the pandemic, and they're developing in such a way that they can scale to many different configurations. That's where we want to go, right? And then the same thing with the Dragon Engine. The Dragon Engine, to me, looks great. Look at Yakuza Like a Dragon, looks fantastic. Yakuza looks great. And it's just something that just runs well regardless. It ran on a PS3, it ran on all these things, and it just, look at Capcom's current engine that they have, the RE engine. That does miracles. I mean, to get Monster Hunter Rise to run on that is always a miracle with a lot of things on the Switch. But it just shows how technical and how scalable some of these engines are.
Yeah. Our next guest was Vanessa Villalobos. She's a voice actor. And I still want to play Yu-Gi-Oh with her, even though now I'm scared because every time I see her connected.
I wish we had her for the Bayonetta incident.
Oh, yeah. That would have been amazing. But anyway, let me play her video, and then we will talk a little bit about it.
What do you mean? I've been live for a while because I'm watching the intro right now.
No, now we're live.
What do you mean we're live?
Now we're live? Oh, Lord. Oh, dear Lord.
Can't shame on, whatever other people like to play. It wasn't Peppa Pig like Game of the Year or something?
Oh.
I think kind of like the starting point for a lot of people that just changed gaming forever. I used to play with my older brother, but my mom had the controller unplugged, so I thought I was playing, but I wasn't. Everybody would be surprised, and the guys would come in and like, oh, you don't know anything about games, and I shut them down real quick. Oh, of course, all the time, and in competitive games too. So that always felt good. Getting the games early.
You beat them and took their money.
Yeah, 100%. I kind of discovered voice acting, and in the beginning, right, I just thought about it like, man, I love animation, I love video games. Wouldn't it be cool if I could, I can do that? And I think I was playing Uncharted or something, and I would just hear like Nolan North, right, and his portrayal of the character, and I was like, man, that's really good. I can do that. I want to do that.
I am fantastic.
So for that episode, she talked a little bit about her working at game. I think it was a game store. Dark. I think since you actually wasn't that your first like job? Maybe you can talk a little bit about how you relate to her on that aspect.
Well, yeah, I mean, we both worked in retail. Vanessa's a really dear friend of mine that we worked at Microsoft and at Xbox. Yeah, we used to work at retail stores. Like we worked at GameStop. She used to work at Nintendo New York store. So we were just kind of relating of how working at retail. In a way, we were always kind of like a podcast, right? We were always recommending games to people and talking games, working within that space, and it's just that's we were talking about. And then about voice acting, she was talking about how Nolan North was kind of Uncharted, kind of sort of were some of the inspirations for her wanting to pursue that, and even kind of giving us some things of how she's done some small work and she continues to build her portfolio, and how some jobs she told us don't pay much because of how the pay scale is for whatever they're needed. So it was a really, again, insightful conversation with Vanessa. And like I said, it's funny as we're recapping, it's like, man, the same things that we all were talking about in these episodes continue to just be kind of main topics that continue to be reoccurring throughout the year.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. Silent, I know you are looking into should I say it? You looking into jumping into some voice acting. Mm-hmm. Anything you want to add to like take away? I mean, that was a great. I think after that episode was that I kind of started pushing you that you should probably look into that avenue, because you have a great like voice to go into that, and it's something you enjoy. So yeah.
I appreciate it. Over the last year, I think you've kind of pushed me more towards it as time's gone on. Obviously, it's something we had talked about in the past, and it's something that I've kind of looked into here and there, and I just never really pulled the trigger. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you saw it during that episode. We were sitting there, and I think you probably saw my eyes and my ears perk up a little bit a couple times, is like as she was talking about it. I was very engaged in the situation. I had never really, like I said, I had never really pulled the trigger on that side of things. as time's gone on, obviously you've been gracious enough to add my voice into some of the videos we've done, and I've been looking into it further, actually working on some stuff now, and I think that was one of those moments where it was like, okay, it's been long enough for me to think about this. I need to actually consider it as a possibility in the future for me to get into doing some voice acting. So it was good. It was a good inflection point for me to kind of like assess the situation. So I'm glad that you gave me shit for a good bit of time, just kind of egging me on and being like, "Hey, you need to do this," because now I'm actually making some progress in it, and hopefully in the near future I'll have something to report.
Hey, Silent, you think I would make a good Chris Redfield for the Code Veronica remake?
Oh Jesus!
Oh my god!
You know what? I was afraid you were going to say something like this. Yes, you'd be great because honestly, everyone who did it in the first game were terrible.
You're such a monster.
Oh man. Anyway, before I play the Miles Down Pier, which was our next guest for episode 14, great guy.
And my final show, actually.
No, actually, yeah, I want to give a little behind the scene. When we got Miles Down Pier, when we sealed him, I think you were still on, but then we kind of lost you because of work. And that's when we actually were panicking because you were actually the host. And it was kind of like a scary moment for us at that time. We did the episode. I don't think it came out the best way we wanted it to come out, but it was
awkward. And to provide a little bit more context, I'm a huge fan of Miles Down PA. Always on Xbox Saturday. Awesome dude. We play games when we can, but I wanted to get him on the show and see, hey, maybe come to XBI, and I was excited, and I was going to be the one that had the questions because he was sort of the guest that I brought on the show, even though everyone, Silent as well was on Saturdays there as part of the community, and then unfortunately due to changes in my work, I had to I could not be on this episode at all, and I was working at the time, and it was also devastating because we were building momentum, and we were kind of getting to our groove. And podcasting has been awesome, something that I wanted to do, and it was finally, coming to fruition. And then when I finally got the one person that I wanted to sit down to kind of sit and kind of shoot the shit, excuse me, yeah, that happened. And it was, you can see in moments it was awkward, and it was not because the team wasn't excited. It's because when you prepare, to have the person on, and then you kind of say, hey, let me pass you the work without any context, it kind of everything falls apart. But Miles is always welcome on the show, and it won't be as awkward as it is. And this, if you look at the thumbnail, that's a tribute to his dead game, Phantom Dust, that will never come out.
I prefer that than Code Veronica, to be honest.
Yes.
Shut your mouth. Shut your goddamn mouth.
Oh man, but anyway, let me play the video, and we still managed to get, I guess, looking at the highlights, we still managed to get something out. I mean, of course, Miles Down Pier is a great person. So yeah, let me just play the video.
I am fantastic. What is going on, dudes? Excited to hang out with you. It's a beautiful Wednesday, right? That's what day it is. Everything's blurring together, but excited to be here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Crazy
what got me into gaming? Well, it all started 30 years ago.
Hey, look, he's wearing the same shirt for his
yeah, I remember my first memory of getting into video games kind of stems from visiting my aunt's house. And I was really little, maybe 5, I want to say. And she had this poster of Hyrule from The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past on the wall in her bedroom. And I remember just being like captivated by the bright colors. I was like, ooh, what's that? That looks cool. Freddy versus Jason, which one would actually win? It really comes down to if Jason needs to sleep. Because if Jason doesn't need to sleep and he's this weird entity that can just exist, then Freddy can't do anything. It's such a unique experience that combines basically Dragon Ball Z, like the over-the-top, flashy combat, your epic signature moves, and Magic the Gathering, like the deck building. So you go in and you customize your deck. Announce the reboot, and then shortly after, like, oh, we pretty much fired the team that was working on the reboot, so now it's just in limbo.
So let me go with Plume real quick. He hasn't talked in a while. Plume, are you a follower of Chatter Days and Miles on Pierre? And what do you think about who will win? Freddy, Jason? Are you a fan of horror or not?
Well, I follow Miles on Twitter, and when he was with Windows Central, and now I've seen that he's started his own YouTube channel and stuff, so he's off there. So yeah, no, I definitely follow his work. Great guy. I wish I could have been there on that episode to talk to him with you guys. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I'm not the biggest horror guy, so I'm just gonna stick with Miles' answer. I don't have a more elaborate answer than he has for that one, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe you cut the clips pretty precisely there, but I would have liked to have seen the awkward moments in between. See how that went.
There were plenty.
There were a few. There were a few.
You saw Lou. He was already looking awkward, so you got that.
Lou looked like he was ready to get married.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
His hair was all combed perfectly.
Lou looked like Jim Ryan with the water bottle.
And the
headset. How about
the headset?
How about what's the name? Phantom Dust. Did you get to play that game?
I've never checked it out now.
Okay. Well,
rest in peace, Miles.
Another one bites the dust.
Another one bites the dust. Well, he also what was
sorry,
that?
this Phantom Dust was
Phantom Dust was an OG Xbox game. It was really cool. It was ahead of its time. It was a post-apocalyptic game that used decks of cards to kind of select, and then you had these crazy like Dragon Ball Z powers. It's pretty cool. It's actually, you can play it right now, the original, for free. They made it free to play. They were supposed to do a from the ground up remake, and that something ended up going wrong with the developers that were working on it. So they just kind of spruced up the graphics and made it free to play. But you can actually play the original game right now if you download it. It's on PC or Xbox.
It looks pretty cool. I mean, I have to check it out.
Okay, well, our next guest, I won't pronounce her name because I don't want to butcher it, but she's also known as the Slasher Chick. She has, I believe they still have it running, right? A podcast talking about horror.
Yeah, so to skip that, she is the lead accessibility officer at Square Enix for Eidos Montreal.
Well, she was at that moment, but since they got bought up, I don't know what's.
I don't know. And she also teamed up with Miles to do Fear on Tap, which was a great podcast. And I think they haven't done one in a while, but it's basically horror centric. They used to basically pick a movie and then pick a beer to drink to kind of commemorate the movie they were discussing. And she came on the actual show. I met her actually at the Game Awards, and then we kind of connected and said, I would love to have you on XBI, because at the time, the whole situation where people kind of confuse what people mean by accessibility versus making games more accessible to audiences versus having features that allow people with disabilities to be able to play. And she was a great guest to kind of provide her perspective to kind of educate us on that.
Oh, nice. Well, even though Plume doesn't like horror, I think he will get along with them just because of the beer.
Plume, you don't like horror?
Well, it's not I don't like horror. I just don't have I'm not
passionate,
as knowledgeable as some people.
Okay.
I was about to say, I mean, you come on the podcast with Crazy Lou. I mean, that's just in itself a horror movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna play the episode. I'm gonna play the highlight. Oh, and just so you know, everyone, I didn't highlight every single episode. So after a while, I do skip a few. Mostly, I'm highlighting most of the guests. So just so you don't be like, oh my god, you're gonna play all the episodes.
Her name is Ame Shasyong. Did I say it right?
Yes, almost. I wish I could be like a horror film director, but I feel like they would throw me in jail because of how fucked up my mind is. And I was like, "Excuse me, mom."
Wow.
Wow.
Like, okay,
right.
games are not for children. And so when she was at work, like parents are horrible at like hiding keys and stuff like that. Like we've all found, things that our parents were trying to hide. Parents just suck at hiding things. Get better. And so I stole her key and I would play on the console while she was out, and then I would delete my save so she didn't know that I played. And one time I fucked up and I deleted her save. We have a department, but there's departments at Ubisoft. There's people working at EA, at Xbox, Warner Brothers. Like it's a field that's finally really getting the respect that it deserves. Not only because it's important, but because it's something that takes a certain level of expertise. Because accessibility touches all layers and all components of a game, and we should really kind of like stop to look at it as a separate sort of audience or a separate entity, because it's not. There's one thing that I often say is that disabled gamers are part of your target audiences. They're not a separate audience. Because people shouldn't choose to play a game whether it's accessible or not. They should choose a game based on their preferences. And whenever companies have a certain target demographic that they're shooting for, people in that demographic are like disabled gamers are part of that. So it's really important to make sure that everybody's considered, and that we work with the teams to make sure that we try to get all bases covered, beyond the like paper of like diploma that you have. I think that what you can bring to the table in your experience is most important. One thing that I always suggest is whatever you do, whatever you study in, like in games, we're talking about games obviously, but make sure that you have passion projects, things that you work on.
So for that episode, she had a very good input about accessibility, of course, since she's the lead at accessibility at Square Enix. Eidos Montreal at Square Enix at that time. She also, I also asked her a question about, I forgot what was the question, but the question was regarding if you needed to go to school to get into the industry, like either as a developer or as anything, in the industry. And she was basically saying that the way the industry works is you're more evaluated on what you actually know rather on what your diploma is. Of course, the diploma works and all of that, but it's more based on what you actually can show that you can do. And of course, she talked about horror, which Silent Cypher, it's our expert, I will say, on horror. Do you have anything to add about that episode?
No, it was just an honor to have her on. It's horror is always near and dear to my heart. My brother ended up introducing me into a bunch of really awful horror movies when I was like 5 or 6. And so from a very young age, I was involved in horror movies and stuff. And so it was really cool to see her and Miles end up making a podcast in relation to the horror movie side of things. It's like I said, it's near and dear to my heart. I always dress up every year with my kids as some sort of horror icon. I'm very much the like big kid at heart when it comes to Halloween, because it's a point in time in my life that I just always go back to, and I remember those times, and it was just always fun. Like as terrible as that sounds, a bunch of people dying in a slasher flick was a near and dear time in my heart. But no, it was great. She was a great guest, and yeah, hopefully it won't be the last time that our paths cross.
Yeah, she was super.
See, Silent, I think I had a similar experience to you when I was younger with horror, but I think it had the opposite effect on me. So I got locked in a room in the dark and was forced to watch, I think it was Scream.
Okay.
I was very young, and I didn't make it near and dear to my heart. It made me terrified, and I'm still a little bit scared.
You were sitting there watching, and all you could think of was, "What's your favorite scary movie?"
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh man,
it's fair.
All right. Well, our next guest, the Everborn Saga, which, as you can see, he's a huge fan of Sonic. Which the last game didn't.
Bad taste.
Well, the last game doesn't seem to be so bad, honestly. I'm dying to play it. I tried playing it the other day, but my son's like, "Hey, that's my game." I'm like, "Oh man," and so I had to leave it to him. But anyway, let me play the video.
I'm very apathetic about the Activision deal. It goes through, doesn't go through. I think it'll go through, but it doesn't do much for me. I actually would have preferred Microsoft moved on things like that Crystal Dynamics deal and Sega and things like that. Those are more exciting to me. I create comics. We can start with that. So I create a series called Everborn. It lives in the comic world now, but it actually started as a video game. And while working on the sequel to that game, it's on Windows Phone. If you still have a Windows Phone, you can download that today. But while working on the sequel to that game, I wanted to add more of a story, and that story sort of became what is the Everborn Saga today. So, and Nintendo at the time, before Sega had overtaken them, they went from 92% market share to Sega having over 55% market share. Yes, and Namco actually sued them and lost that case. Did you know that the basis of the Sony PlayStation came from the Sega CD? Came from them looking at what Sega was doing. Embracer Group has not proven to me that with all the studios they're buying, that they've actually been able to bring back an old franchise and make it hot again.
So for that episode, of course, he had to talk about Sega. And to be honest, I have never owned a Sega, so I was clueless on that episode. And unfortunately, Cypher wasn't there with me. Dark, I know you love Sega, and that was wasn't that your first console?
Yeah, the Sega Master System, Shinobi. That was, I remember going to my babysitter, and she sat me down and she was like, "Hey, play this," and I could not stop playing. And my Sega Master System was the first system. Everborn is a huge fan of Sega. Everborn Prophet, as you can see, sometimes some of the things he says are kind of a little there, but I tease him on that. But yeah, he's passionate about Sega. There's a lot of, I agree with him because I personally feel that as a person who grew up as a Sega kid, there's a lot of great franchises that tick a lot of different boxes in case, you're looking to build around something. And, they have Sonic as a mascot. You have Yakuza like a dragon. You have Streets of Rage, Space Harrier, Altered Beast, Vector Man. You can go on and on. RPGs, everything. So it was, he's always going to talk about that. And yeah, he does have a comic. I read it. It's really good. And the game originally was on a Windows Phone, and it's hilarious because I have it on the Windows Phone, and we were just talking about it. I was like, oh man, it's funny that I finally met the creator of this game.
Oh, awesome. Plume, let me ask you, have you ever owned a Sega device, or are you not a Sega fan?
No, I've owned, I'm trying to think. A Genesis? No, not Sega CD. Genesis and a Dreamcast, I believe. Actually, I still have my Dreamcast stuff at my parents' house. But I was at first like a Super Nintendo kid. Genesis was always secondary. I was always into Nintendo more. So I've never been like, I love Sega. Like I like all the stuff they put up now. I'm gonna play Sonic Frontiers. I actually got it on Black Friday. I just haven't had time to jump into it yet. And I've always been interested in a lot of their Genesis stuff and games that I haven't played. I've gone back and tried a bunch of them. So yeah, I'm definitely not someone who's against Sega. I like to see them thrive.
Okay, I actually got to correct myself. I actually had a Dreamcast. I forgot about that. But anyway, our next guest was actually the Ham himself, Ham Solo. and it was a great episode. Let me play the video, and then we can talk a little bit about it.
Whether it was good or not, and then the week after that, she didn't even know what she was eating, but we just assumed it was cat food. We just assumed it was like it was so old the label done fell off of it. Oh my god! But that show gets wild on Fridays, so you can check us out there. But as for what I've been playing lately,
from the Solo, you're a big fan of Han Solo, I can imagine, right?
Nope.
No, you're not.
Nope.
What?
Gotcha. No, I am not a huge Star Wars fan at all.
Yeah,
I'm more of a Star Trek fan than I am a Star Wars fan, to be honest. Yeah, for shame. And do I think Sony is gonna fall off a cliff? Hell no. They got so much backing behind them, and then they have this money that's gonna keep flowing in and keep coming. So they're not gonna go down at all. They're not even partially really go down, especially to most of the people's eyes within gaming that don't really care about this stuff. They're just gonna, keep thinking Sony's king, Sony's king, Sony's king.
What? Y'all think I was gonna miss out on Gotham Knights?
So for that episode, we had Ham Solo, and we had a little featuring from the Joker there. But anyway, Plume, you have been covering, yeah, you have been covering a lot on your channel. By the way, if you haven't followed Plume Network, please follow him. Awesome channel, amazing channel. He's close to 10K, so please follow him. But you have been covering the ABK deal a lot, and of course, like a lot of the episodes, we have been covering it through Xbox International. But he was talking about how PlayStation wasn't going anywhere, and it's not like some people think that if this deal go through, that PlayStation is not gonna exist anymore. Do you have anything to add to what he says there and on that little highlight?
So like if the deal goes through, PlayStation is going to be fine. First of all, I mean, that's, I think, pretty obvious. But the more that we've gone through these past couple of months, because I don't know when that episode was, what was that, March, April or whatever, whenever that was, the more that we've getting more and more information, we're looking at what's going on, and we look at all the documents that have come out, and it just sounds like Sony is crying and all this type of stuff. But I'm kind of completely changing my tune on Jim Ryan as a business, like it just as like an executive. Like, he is pretty brilliant what he is doing right now. Yes. Because you look at everything with the FTC, at the end of the day, I think Jim Ryan's goal right now is to either get more and more and more concessions, especially if Xbox now puts Call of Duty on Game Pass, or to hold it up so much that Microsoft just literally drops out of the deal, because it's just going to take too long and it's not worth it. So I think he knows really what he's doing. We like to look at, make fun of Jim Ryan. We like to call him a crybaby and all these things, but he's pretty brilliant, honestly, as a businessman. He's doing what he has to do for PlayStation, because if this deal goes through, it's going to hurt PlayStation. It is going to be worse for them, and he's doing what he has to do to make sure that it doesn't, or try his best to make sure that it doesn't. So yeah, that's my take on it right now.
Yeah. Our next guest, Elaine Gomez. Oh, you wanted to add something?
Hold on. Yeah, I wasn't available at the time, but during Ham Solo's episode, I got to say I'm a little sad that you didn't add one specific part.
Oh, what was that?
I wish I could throw it in here, but Ham Solo's experience with skydiving.
No.
really disappointed that you didn't add that one.
Yeah, the thing is, there was like so many things that it was like it was, yeah.
All I'll send the clip to Plume after this so he can.
Oh yeah,
see what we're talking about.
I was on Ham Solo's show with his interviews, and I remember him talking to me about the skydiving thing. But I don't know. Maybe I'm guessing this is a funny clip about it.
Unfortunately, Crazy was very much crazy that day, and he proceeded to lead the conversation to a point that we did not expect. I'll send you the link.
All right.
Anyway, Sour, continue.
So our next guest is Elaine Gomez, awesome guest. She works for Brass Lion Entertainment, and she also has I would say like an organization called Latinx, which helps Latin Latinos and help all the community. And she's an awesome person. So if you need anything related to, like, if you want to become a developer or anything related to that, please reach out to her. She's awesome. So let me play the clip. It's an awesome episode.
Hi. Thank you so much for the really nice intro.
Oh, you are so
Doing
welcome.
good.
That song is horrible. Let's go. Let's transition.
Now I want to hear it.
Hey, give us
If I wanted like some extraterrestrial life to like understand human emotion, I think I would go to one of the saddest games that I've ever played, and it's a very real game. It's called Bat Dragon Cancer. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of it. It's an independent game, and it's about a dad or a family going through the process of their child having cancer. And I think if you really want to be in touch with like human emotion and understand grief, understand love, understand what you go through in something tough like that, I think that was a very beautiful game. It wasn't just like I always knew all my life that this is what I wanted to do. Like, not at all. I wanted to be a doctor. So here I am. Way different.
Change, right?
Imagine how my parents felt when I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go back to school to study game design." They're like, "What?" Our team is very diverse. Like, if you were to line up pictures of everybody who works at Brass Lion, like, we're 85% people of color. So we have Puerto Ricans, we have Black men and women, we have Asian men and women. We also have white men and women too, because diversity is all of us, right? So, and of course we have other Latinos, not just Puerto Ricans. We have Ecuadorians. But what's really neat is that you see our team composition, and that will be reflected definitely in the world that we're building, because we're making a game of a reflection of our lives, right? And like what we see and who we are. So we definitely want to make sure that that's like super important. I wish that you all could see like the behind the scenes of everything that we're working on. It's just like, do you want a crappy game on time, or do you want a good game with a little bit more time in development?
Okay, so I gotta say for Elaine, first of all, she worked at Brass Lion Entertainment. I believe they're working on a AAA game, which she confirmed that is in Unreal Engine 5. I am pretty excited to see what they come up with, especially for me that I grew up in New Jersey. I think Dark can relate with me because he grew up in New York, and they're whatever the game is they're working on is focus on basically the life there on or the culture there. And we also had a great talk about when we were talking about how which we are currently still talking about how us gamers, we demand or we want games to be polished, but yet we don't want the games to be delayed. And it's a back and forth. We talked about it, I believe, last week or the previous week. But Dark, do you want to add anything?
She talked one thing, question that I think I wasn't part of the show, but I asked in the chat. And one of the things that we kind of, as consumers and as fans, we think that game development is linear, meaning that because a game started, if a developer says, hey, I'm starting a game in 2020, Untitled Lu game, that doesn't mean that actually is the way it's going to go. And it's like, oh yeah, this game should be done because it's been 3 years. Development doesn't work in that linear fashion that we assume when we kind of talk about games and say, where's this game? I haven't seen it for years. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that Elaine educated us on. Even when she talked about My Dragon Cancer, it's a game that I got the opportunity to randomly, I ran into the developers at a thing called the Frost Festival here in New York, which is called the Future of Storytelling. It's all about AR and VR, amazing stuff. And that game, after playing it and then kind of reflecting, because my mother passed away with cancer. It's an amazing game. It's on Steam. It tells a really good story about, as a father dealing with the child battling cancer, and then going, like she said, through those stages. It's really touching. And if you like those type of games as well, they have a really great message and an overall just experience. I definitely highly recommend it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, for our next episode, this episode was actually when we announced officially that we were part of the collective.
Ubisoft?
No. I'll play it and then I'll just
Guise Monton.
All right, here we go.
Oh, this glass. Okay. So, guys, today's big announcement is Team Xbox International has joined the Midweek Mix-Up Collective. Yeah, we are joined the collective. We got invited to join it, and we said yes.
The FTC didn't stop us that time.
Let me get my microphone right over here and put it right here because, yes, I got to.
Okay, so real quick, for that episode, Silent was actually on that episode, but Crazy was supposed to wait for Silent, and he didn't wait it, and he just made the announcement, which I wanted to choke him.
Yeah. That was one of those situations where you could cut the tension with a knife. In the situation, it was just like, oh God. Crazy just rushed ahead. I get it, because he was like a kid in Toys R Us getting ready to run around and do like a sweepstakes run to pick up all the toys. He was very excited.
Oh wow. Sorry, yeah. I'm gonna interrupt you, Silent. I actually looked at the time. I'm gonna try to rush a little bit on these because
he needs to go to the restroom.
Yeah.
No,
because I don't need to go, but it's actually later than I thought. It's been an awesome episode, but
Yeah, no, this one was cool. It was Colt Eastwood coming, right? But what was cool about this is we were thinking about an idea of how we talked about in the beginning. How do we kind of cater the episode themed around our guests, and it so happened that Gaz made one of his crazy videos, and we decided, hey, Colt Eastwood, big channel, crossing over to a small channel like us, coming over with Crazy Lou, and we basically made up this episode where Crazy Lou had 8 crazy personalities that he recorded, calling out Doctor Strange. That's why we called this XBI and the Multiverse of Podcasts. And if you check it out, each day, even though Lou didn't deliver because he, just like James Cameron, he takes forever to make movies. He delivered these different personalities, calling out Colt Eastwood, and kind of bringing them into XBI. So it was a pretty cool episode to have Colt Eastwood and kind of the lead up to the podcast.
All right, here we go.
Now, introducing from the Sauceverse, NXNC Podcast, formerly known as the Nintendo Freako, the man that plays the guitar with both hands behind his back, even better than Eric Captain. Hey, Eric, if you see this, I'm just kidding, buddy, but we love you. The one and only Colt Eastwood, aka Dr. Eastwood Strange. How are you doing, sir? And what have you been playing?
Wow. How do you know the Nintendo Freako thing? I thought that was kind of very obscure. Somebody did their homework.
where did the name? I mean, this has got me a little bit curious. Where did the name of Colt Eastwood come from?
Ooh, okay,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
this
a
is a
good
weird
question.
one. I was really into gangster rap when it was
Okay.
really hot, when it was a new thing. I was really into it, and I drove a car called a Colt, and everyone in high school called me Colt. It's so bad that I'm
named after Coolio.
rarely ever called my regular first name.
What's
I'm
on
at, like,
turns? That was a.
Oh yeah. Yes, so it would be you, Jeff Grubb, Miles Dampierre, and Dealer Gaming.
Yes.
So I don't know what Jeff Grubb does musically, but Miles
this is when we had the
Dampierre
Wheel
is
of
like
Crazy.
a death metal,
Yes, he
heavy
is.
And what we
metal
wanted to do is
guitar
randomly,
extraordinaire.
instead of
Way
kind
better
of
guitarist than me.
having an
Dealer
agenda,
is
the wheel
a
would decide
self-taught.
what question,
I don't even know what you
what
call
topic
him.
we would go
He
first.
could play
And then it
the
got
acoustic
out of hand,
guitar
'cause
like
then
crazy.
Drew started
We'll
adding
play
some
in the
random
party
stuff
chat, and he's
about
like,
Chuck Norris and the other things.
I don't
so
know
we had
how
to
he's
cancel.
figuring this stuff out on his own. It's pretty amazing. Totally different. And then I'm like the classic pop rock guy. And then Jeff Grubb, I don't even know what Jeff Grubb does. I don't want a Banjo-Kazooie remaster. I want Banjo-Kazooie brand new, fully next generation, all new physics and platforming, because that old platforming doesn't feel good at all. Like it needs to be something
I agree.
like the platforming in Psychonauts is really great. So Double Fine, if they said we're working on the newest next generation Banjo or our version of Banjo, I would be excited. But if they're remastering an old one, it would feel like the old game, just look better.
I just gotta say real quick, for that episode, he was very surprised at the information we got in the introduction, which is something we always have tried to do in Xbox International. We always try to dive deeply into the guests and get as much information without the guests actually knowing. That way, when we do come up with the information, we kind of surprise them and be like, oh wow, like they really did their homework. So yeah. Anyone want to add anything real quick before we keep moving?
Oh, that was just that was definitely an episode. Like you were saying earlier, that was early on to when we found out that we were gonna have to change out the lineup a little bit.
Yeah.
So we were still adjusting, and God bless Colt for tolerating the shenanigans, because I had literally just come back from California as we were like getting that episode running. And so I was trying to coordinate things as I was on the road. Yeah, I don't know. I think it turned out well, but it was one of those situations where it was like it wasn't ideal in the fact that, just like with Colt, it's like if you have a little bit of time to kind of prepare for the episode, that's ideal.
Yeah.
That was not the scenario. I was in the middle of dealing with like a celebration of life. So I was trying to do as much as I can to prepare for it, but we just, timing was just kind of inopportune. But I was super stoked that we ended up getting him on. It was great to talk to him. It just, yeah, I don't know. It's life happens, I guess, is the best way to explain it.
Yeah. For our next episode, we actually got someone from the community. We got Retro Nerd, a great guy, and we wanted to see his perspective on gaming, and we got him for a little bit. So let me play the video.
Listen, we all know what Sony are planning to do. Jim Ryan's not made any secret of it. Whole slate is coming, and one by one, all of those games that sold really, really well and great games are all coming to it. So it was only a matter of time before Spider-Man gets there.
Not my precious exclusives.
It was only a matter of time before it got there. But I think there will be some on the PC side that will not have played this game, will not have played Spider-Man, and then I think you will see quite some good sales out of it. But there will be loads that have already played it. They won't want to. I've played it on the PlayStation, and yeah, that's me done with it. I'm not one to go back.
Oh wow!
Hey, I'm doing.
Look to what episode we got. We got to Plume. So this is when we actually got Plume as our guest.
Back when I was in my old room. Wow.
Oh yes. So, real quick for Plume, I actually was I still am a huge fan of his channel. Unfortunately, I don't comment as much as I would love to because I usually watch his show while I'm at work. But, I reached out to him and, thank you, Plume, for actually accepting. And I don't know how we got you involved in actually participating in Xbox International, but I'm glad you accepted eventually.
You guys make a great show. That's the bottom line. Like, it's entertaining. You have your own personalities and the whole flight thing, and it's super creative and it's different than anything that's out there. Like, if we look at Xbox International, you compare it to a lot of the podcasts out there, I think you guys do a phenomenal job of providing different take on a lot of the stuff, and just the whole presentation is really, really professional and well done.
Oh, thank you, man. You're making me tear up here. Well, let's play the episode and let's kind of remember a little bit.
Great, I love that intro. I love how you threw in the Carey Price thing there. I didn't expect that at all. I don't know if it's the Habs doll behind me or stuffed animal, whatever you want to call it. I gave it away, but I love the Carey Price reference there.
Talk about our beer today.
I am drinking the traditional Presidente beer now.
So this is called The Proper Glassware is an Empty Head. I don't know if you can see this.
That's a cool can.
Lovely little can.
Yeah, I am drinking. I have the can here. Drinking Innis and Gun. Nothing, not craft, not anything too crazy out there, but just one of my favorite go-to beers for the multiplayer experience for The Last of Us. Wasn't that supposed to be something they were releasing with The Last of Us 2?
Part of it.
Yeah. And all of a sudden it's too ambitious.
Standalone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too ambitious to release with the game, so they're going to charge you what? Like, what are they going to charge you? Another $70? But I think what they did was they're like, because we know what PlayStation's doing with, they're trying to make more games as a service, live service games. I think like they said they wanted to make like 12 by 2025 or something. Yep. They just took that and they're like, we're going to rip this out from Last of Us 2. We're going to make it its own live service game so we can cash it on live service. We're going to come out here, say it's too ambitious, and then we're going to sell it to you full price or whatever they're going to do. Maybe put it into the PS Plus subscription and they get people to try to sign up for the subscription. I'm with Crazy Louie on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming to Game Pass. Yeah. That's awesome. Like, it's a multiplayer game. It's going to fit right into Game Pass. It's going to be a ton of fun. Valheim, I've never played. I have a bunch of buddies who play that game and they love it. So that's cool that's coming over to Game Pass as well. So I may end up checking that out just because I have some friends that play it. But I think the big highlight for me was just when Pete Hines was there talking about the Redfall and Starfield and giving us more information on everything. When he talked about, he just reiterated that Starfield's an epic RPG and that it's an RPG where you do what you want to do in the game. It's your game. It's you want to explore, you want to do the main quests, you want to just fly around and stuff. It's up to what you want to do. And I think for Starfield, when they showed that off, that's what I was expecting. That's what I was hoping. And then Pete Hines kind of confirming that stuff, I think was great. And whenever you listen to him talk, Todd Howard's awesome, right? But I feel like Pete Hines is just like, I don't know. There's something about him when he's speaking. He's just so passionate about everything. You just really like, you're listening to every word he's saying when he's talking about the games that Bethesda's working on. So I really love the Pete Hines part about the Nintendo Showcase.
So a few things real quick. For that episode, for the part with the beer, that's something that Plume actually does in his channel. So I told the guys, hey, we gotta do this. hope the Plume liked it. And you know, we threw in the sport thing and a few things that we kind of gathered together, and it was an awesome episode. You know, I enjoyed it. I don't know if Plume, now that you know, he can actually be real to us, be like, hey, you guys sucked.
No, I had a great time. It was fun. That's why I keep coming back onto the show, because it's great talking games with you guys. It's funny because one of the clips you had there of me talking about the Last of Us stuff, a lot of these conversations I have with my friends here, and they don't realize some of the things that go on. Like I had to find that article back from like E3 2018, or I think it was 2018, where the dev said that it was going to be part of Last of Us 2. But it's just funny how that clip was included there. But yeah, it was a great time. The beer stuff's great. I wish I could be drinking a beer tonight. Unfortunately, I can't because I'm sick and it doesn't mix good with some medicine. So, but yeah, it was fun.
Okay, well, our next episode, we actually had it was scheduled to be Randall Thor, but we had technical issues. And then we kind of combined it with Infinite Umbra, which was, you know, it came out pretty good. I think we still had some technical issue, but...
So you're short selling it, because what happened was...
Oh, okay.
We, for some reason, when he joined the Discord, we couldn't see Rand on Discord. And when he... And
oh, yes.
For some odd reason, you and I can join, but when he joined, it's like he was just in the background, and we had to cancel, and then he was nice enough to come back, and what we did is it kind of overlapped with Infinite Umbra, and we said, you know what, why don't we just do a first thing and just have two big guests on the show, and we had Randall Thor and Infinite Umbra. And the Shenmue is because Infinite Umbra loves Shenmue, and anyone who listens to Xbox 2 knows that the Wheel of Time is Randall Thor's favorite book of all time.
Yes. I just gotta add real quick. I think I can say it now, but at that moment, I actually thought, I was like, "Oh man, I think Randall Thor saw Crazy Lou's personality, and he's probably running away from us." I literally thought that. But thanks that he actually.
I hope you put some of the funny moments between Crazy Lou and Thor, and then the sing. I hope you put the sing where he sings with Umbra.
I don't remember what I put, but let's see. Let's find out.
Umbra and Lou battle, and of course, you know who loses.
I think we'd rather have you singing than Crazy.
I don't know. I've sung for Colt, and Colt always tells me to shut up because his ears bleed. Now Colt, which you've had Colt Eastwood on before, he can sing. He can sing.
He can sing.
He's been in a band. He's a singer. Rand is not.
You don't use mayo, Rand.
No, mayo's one of the most disgusting things in the world.
The Rock says you should know your role and shut your mouth.
Yep.
Listen, I used to draw Jabroni. The Rock is going to check you right in to Jabroni Drive
Hotel. I did like victorious Nickelodeon dance, so my fat ass up there is moving around dancing to Nickelodeon dance and these other stupid Connect games simply because you had to do it.
Dedication. Yeah, I think it's undeniable. Once you look at the service of Game Pass and what it offers you as a customer, after a minute, you start to look at the value that you get out of it. And I think once the first party starts hitting like it should next year and beyond.
It's too bad we didn't get Crazy Louie in the shower, though. I was crossing my fingers we'd hear from him in the shower podcasting. But maybe next time.
So I think I remember why I didn't put the Crazy Lou singing. I was gonna put it, but then I was like, "Oh, this is giving me a headache," so I just removed it. But
Yes.
I did have it.
I think I know what you're talking about too.
Yeah,
it was bad. It was some bad singing. I think I haven't heard any. The worst singing I heard, it has to be between Crazy Lou and another guest, which we're gonna highlight later on. I'll talk about him when he comes up, but. Do you guys want to add anything, or you want to keep moving on? Because you know we are
real quick, because obviously we're getting late in the episode. But Plume, when you were on the show, I did want to just go back real quick. Thank you for tolerating our shenanigans early on. Obviously we were in kind of a transition period as far as things went. So I'm really thankful for you jumping on. And I'm glad that you decided to hang out with us moving forward. Obviously, things have been a little bit different than what we started off with initially.
Yes.
And so it was good to have additional folks kind of join into things. It was great to have you in, just in the fact that like your personality melds really well with ours. So yeah, just wanted to thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't notice any of the transitional stuff. The show to me ran very smoothly when I was on.
Oh, really? We were testing a lot of things. If you see, we had the wheel of crazy. We had this. We didn't felt comfortable yet.
Yeah,
we were like Warner Brothers and hiring James Gunn and all these other people every other week. We were like, oh yeah, let's get an idea.
I think we were bad, but not that bad.
Let's reset the XBI multiverse.
In the
Hey, Lou, we need you
background,
to
it
tap
was
dance.
like
We were like, Lou, we need you to tap dance this week.
Yeah. In the background, it was a garbage fire to an extent. In some situations, we're just like, oh, crazy Louie, we need to we need to let you out with a fire extinguisher real quick.
Yeah, no, but it's great to hear your feedback, Plume. The biggest thing is always wanting to make the show very different, and I think many even in the beginning when I was on the show, we were just trying, I think, too hard versus just like you said, right? One of the things you enjoy about being with the guys is being ourselves. So
Yeah.
I think that's the key thing at the end of the day. And we try to be a little bit this, a little bit that, and then finally, it's great to kind of see it just click. And I was like, oh, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it's about like the differentiating yourself and the stuff you guys do with like the plane and the landing and all that stuff. It's great and it runs really well. And at the end of the day, again, it's like there's so many podcasts out there. It's all about exposure, and the more you guys get exposed, I think it's gonna really take off.
As long as Lou doesn't do showers.
Well, it depends. Depends who's watching.
Well,
That's
speaking
for his
about
OnlyFans podcast.
speaking about exposing, let's expose our next guest, which was General C, awesome person. He's actually in the chat right now, so follow him on Twitch. And we had an amazing time. So let me play the video, and then we can comment on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Sour has turned on the subscribe button. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Please stow your food and beverages next to your desk, underneath your seat, or in front of you. Please take your seat and fasten your seatbelt. And also make sure that you've hit that notification bell. We gently remind you that smoking and
Why are you
drinking
bringing
are
that cat
not
back?
prohibited on this
Trey,
flight.
you didn't win. Get out.
However, playing the New Game Plus version of Peppa Pig is strictly prohibited. We're looking at you, Jen.
I ain't
If you
ever
haven't-
touching that game again. No, I don't think they should disappear for good, but I think reviewing games need to change with the times. Take over the industry? No, but I think they could be on par with something like the MCU's Marvel
Yeah, we keep your
movies,
seats, General C. We know you
DC
play Peppa Pig.
movies. As long as they're done right, because throughout history, there's been some really bad video game movies. I grew up with some of the worst. The Doom movie is one of them, with The Rock. And look how far he's come. He started out in bad movies like that. Sony and Nintendo, do they need to? I mean, Sony are already bringing their games to PC.
Yep.
But bringing them to other consoles, can't see that happening yet. I mean, unless they want to recuperate some of that large amount of debt that they've got.
Okay, we should have. Okay, so that was General C. Awesome guy. He's in the chat right now. And, we had lots of fun with him. Actually, before that episode, we've been doing the whole flight thing a few episodes before, a long time before that. But I decided to put it on that one because I thought that one was pretty funny since he was playing a Peppa Pig game. I believe he lost a bet, and that's why he had to play the game.
Yep.
So yeah, awesome chat with him. Do you want to add anything, Silent?
You know what? Honestly, just watching him go through that playthrough and do that Twitch live stream of Peppa Pig, that alone was worth all the time. I hope it was. Oh, I hope it was worth it, Jen. But understand, like on my side of things, on any of us that was watching you do that stream, it was gold. It was absolute gold. You were struggling so hard to pretend like you cared, and I appreciate that. I appreciate it.
But he plays a sequel that's coming out next year.
Oh yeah.
Oh sweet Jesus, I sure hope so.
I can't
Because
wait.
I would love to see him have to deal with that as well.
I'm gonna
I will have
benchmark
to
my
join in on that
4090.
bet.
I'm gonna benchmark my 4090 just to play Peppa.
Oh man.
Guys, before we move on here, I'm gonna have to drop out here. But I just want to say, this is the last show, right? Last show of the year. So I want to just wish everyone Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and yeah, we'll continue with XBI. And unfortunately, I guess I'll just say it, I'm not gonna be on as much in the new year with everything going on in my life. So anyone in the chat, if you're wondering why, just busy with new kid and stuff. So, but yeah, I appreciate you guys, and it's always fun. And I'll be back. I'll be back on as a guest.
Okay, awesome, man. Oh,
thank you so much.
Before you disconnect anything, a huge favor. Can
Sure.
you can you leave the Discord call on so it doesn't get messed up? Just
No problem.
For a little bit, and then I'll text you
I'll
and
mute my
let you
mic
know.
so you don't hear
Okay,
crying baby in the background the whole time.
We'll probably think it's Lou. We'll think it's Lou. But one last thing too, make sure go check out Plume. We definitely want to call him 10K Plume at the end of the year. So
Yes.
definitely go out and subscribe and check his channel.
Appreciate that.
Hey,
All right, guys.
take care. I know
Have
you
a good
got
night.
you got
Catch you
to
later.
take care.
Thank you so much.
So this next episode was with Danny Pena, the Godfrey, which I'm a huge fan of him. I discovered him thanks to Dark, and we were pretty nervous, but I think it came out pretty good. I think it was when we started to get our groove more a little bit, but then we had I think we're starting to get our mojo.
All the guests we have are amazing, right?
Yes.
And Danny Pena has been in the game. He's been he's inducted into the Podcast Hall of Fame. So that's for him to come and take the time to come on our channel, like all the other guests that we've had that have been amazing. We appreciate it. And I was like, I thought when Sourblow said, "Hey, I got Danny Pena," I thought he was lying. And and we kind of made jokes, and we thought, hey, we're gonna see. And it was it was an awesome episode. At first it was only an hour. And then he gave us some extra time because he was having some great conversations. And it just overall that second hour turned into something that was overall it was great. It was great to see overall you guys sitting down and kind of just having a great time talking to someone that's very has such a big influence within the industry. So kudos to you for having this guest and the overall how you made him welcome. And that's the key thing I think that we've always kept with XBI is that we always want to make sure that our guests are front and center because we appreciate the time people take to come and sit down with us to just have fun, like I said before, and it's great. I think that's the one thing I love about podcasting and had podcasts before is the amazing people that we've all had an opportunity to kind of talk and just on the side and everything.
Yes. By the way, he has an amazing book. It's called Danny Loves Video Games. So if you have a kid, especially, that's a must get. So let me play the video.
Yeah, I
and
read it to Crazy Lou every day.
that's our big kid or little kid. Okay, here we go. Okay, we should have audio now. Unfortunately.
You want to do the intro? I mean, it's up to you. We'll do it again. Hello once again. Saludos to all my Dominicans out there, and thank you for inviting me, man. I'm glad that we finally made this happen, man. Well, I can't say Phil Spencer because I'm cool with Phil, so I can't. Because if there's a person that I would love to reintroduce myself again, it's actually Bill Gates, because I met him in 01, and it was a quick, hey, let's play some games. Hey, what's up? Like, there was so much stuff going on at that moment that I really couldn't actually talk to him like how I talk with the team now. It was like a hi bye type thing, and we got to play a couple games. But I think my pitch will be for him and any person that billionaires out there. I would love for them to invest more money into creating like schools in Dominican Republic to learn how to code and how to make games and stuff like that. Because that's something I've been really passionate now for the past couple of years. I've been trying to get more of the gaming companies to go to DR and other countries in Latin America, for them to get the opportunity to have like their own conference or free workshop, and also for the creators to create better content, while going to that event live. You get what I'm saying? So I think that will be my pitch. My grandmother bought us, our cousins, 3 Atari 2600 back in those days. I think it was like 1984, 85. It was just either, I know it was before when Nintendo got released here in the United States. He pitched it to me. He's like, Danny, can we create a book based on your true life about you? And we talked about, how you got into gaming, how you got into content creation, and let's inspire the kids that dreams do come true. And I was like, I love that message. I want to do that right away. Let's go for it. So it took us like a year to do it. But at the same time, I also want to educate the parents. I'm going to give an example. When I started with PSO Radio, I had I didn't have like a lot of people listening to the show, right? And one day I just posted it, my first episode. And I was like, I'm excited because I'm like, oh man, this is something new. I put it up. It ended up in IGN. And I never tweeted. Well, there was no tweets back then, but I never promoted it like that. Like, it was just people found me and they were like, oh man, this is a pretty cool news story. Let's share that. And they shared it. Every gaming company in the world, even publishers, they're trying to have more games available in China, because that's a market where there was a time that gaming was banned from China unless you buy games made in China. There was no PlayStation, no Nintendo, no Xbox. It's just recently, in the past couple of years, that's when they finally had access to have their console there. 343 and just Xbox in general was promoting this as like a live service, season pass. We're going to see a lot of content. And they should have planned this out a long time ago. Now I think the best thing they could do is either partner with other studios, because they've done this multiple times. There's many, many games for Xbox where they partner with different studios and they will work on additional content for that, because they probably don't have the manpower to create that amount of content,
So real quick, so Danny Pena, he's from Dominican Republic, which both my parents are actually from Dominican Republic. And something I love from him is that he always, he's looking to give back to the community, and he's always thinking about, giving back to his roots. And it's always something that I've been wanting to do, like, in the future. That's why I kind of started podcasting, because it's something I would love to do. I would like to help gaming grow in the Dominican Republic, Latin America, etc. And I'm very passionate about that, and that's why I really I would say I'm a huge fan of Danny because of that. And I like that he's someone that's open to help anybody. So if you listen to his content, he gives feedback to anybody on how you should kind of do podcasting. And, he's a great content creator. So he's been there from the beginning, basically. I don't know if Silent or Dark wants to add anything, but I felt like that was an amazing episode. I loved it.
Yeah. No, you know, I know we talked about it kind of off the scenes over time, and obviously we ended up having kind of like a before the show scene with him for a few minutes previously, before we actually started that episode with him. But you know, he brings me back to my original roots in podcasting, because back in the day when he was already doing gamer tag radio and doing all that stuff and already getting into the industry, I had actually just started into things back in around 2006 2007 timeframe. And you know, like he was one of the ones where it was very much us in competition directly with them at that point in time, because you know, like there weren't a lot of video game podcasts at that point in time. Like you had Larry Herb, also known as Major Nelson at this point, like literally doing his show in his office or in his closet or wherever at the time. And so like to hear that name and the idea that we actually were able to sit down with him and talk gaming and stuff, it brought me back to those days of like early video game podcasting, because we had literally been kind of in competition with him as XBL Radio, going against gamertag and everything at the time. And it's funny to see now, because obviously like at that point in time it was more of a competition thing, and it's like nowadays I'm just happy to see all the different video game podcasts that we have out there, right? Like for me, as someone who doesn't have a lot of time in a given day to actually do content creation, it's great to just sit here and get to listen to everyone's opinions and get to see like all the content creators that have come out and have started like in the industry. Like it's great to jump in, see Destin, see Dutch, see, you know, like all these folks constantly, Mav, Pong, all these people in our communities go in and do these podcasts and stuff and create content. And it's like, especially for me as someone who just doesn't have a lot of time nowadays, it's great to be able to still keep in touch with the industry, even though I don't have a lot of time myself. So, you know, it's just seeing someone like Danny, especially from that far back, it's great to see that, and it's great to see how long he's been able to sustain the podcast side of things. Like I would have never imagined when we all started this back in the early 2000s that we were all going to be sitting here doing podcasts still. And
Yeah.
so to see someone who's actually managed to survive and sustain all these years and actually make like a real career out of it, like props to him. I'm really happy to see someone do that.
Yeah. Now going from Danny Pena to someone who
Real quick, guys.
Oh,
I'm gonna
yes.
do what Plume did.
Okay.
I'm gonna be leaving as well. I just want to say to everyone who's still in the chat, first of all, thank you guys for inviting me back on the show for the year one recap, and congratulations to the many amazing things you've done this year. You guys put on a great show. Like I said, every Wednesday it's always great to me. I'm always in the chat busting everyone's chops. But congrats, and I just I'm excited for your year two, and what you guys can accomplish. To the chat, thanks everyone that started with us, everyone that continues, even people that hit me up on Twitter and interact with me when I post little things here and there. I really appreciate it. I'm a big fan of just talking video games and obscured video games and games that other people disagree with me. But overall, it's been a great way to kind of express myself, my love for this as a kid. Looking at that episode with Godfrey, kind of even reading his book reminded me of why I love video games. So thank you guys. Congratulations. I'm gonna say
Thank you.
happy holidays, but I know I'm gonna talk to you guys either way on the side. So it's
Yeah.
goodbye. But you guys have a great night. I appreciate all of you guys. Love your friendship. And just continue rocking it out.
Same.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers,
Happy
man.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
You want me to leave my Discord on? I'm guessing.
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm gonna mute my mic. I'm
It's
gonna disconnect
almost.
everything.
I'm almost done. It's only
I don't want to
not
hear
much
you
left.
playing Pokemon in the background, so make sure you mute your mic.
You know what? I want to put on Code Veronica so you can hear the just for him.
Oh man.
Fair.
Well, anyway, moving from Danny Pena to someone I would say completely different, but I also love his content. I don't even know how I discovered him. I guess he just popped into my YouTube, but he reminds me a lot of my brother. So I guess that's why I kind of started relating and connected to him. A lot of people used to know him at the beginning as kind of like a casual gamer because he jumped into Xbox ecosystem, but he kind of like really didn't know the Xbox ecosystem, and he kind of like, so I kind of got into his channel right at the right moment, I would say, because I was kind of like remembering myself in the mirror when I jumped into the Xbox ecosystem and kind of seeing him test all these games that were supposedly bad and seeing how he enjoyed those games. It was pretty good. So this was probably to me the funniest episode we had. He's pretty funny, so you should guys follow him. So here we go. Dark 1985.
Oh, what's up? I'll be hardcore sweater knitter. Yo, when I saw that tweet, I was dying. I was like, what is my man doing? He was that shit was good, man. I'm doing great. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm excited to be on this. So yeah, let's have some fun, man. Let's talk about games. Man, I like this guy talking about Forza and Game Pass already. That's what I'm talking about. I'm gonna get right in here. Ain't no galloping in this podcast. I like that. I brought some carrots just in case. I wasn't sure what I was going to get.
You're talking about smacks, right?
Yes, the
Yes.
smacks. Yes. Yes. Y'all know nothing about that unless you grew up in unfortunate circumstances. But yeah, that's probably my favorite. Yes. Hands down. It's not even close.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not even close. Perfect Dark is a way better game.
Yeah, way better game.
It's a way better game. But then I found out that there's an actual knitting community out there.
Yep.
Like that do not play games that came after me. Okay, and they were like, "Yo,
oh really?
Yo,
I ain't knew that part.
Yo, they're like, "Yo, you don't know about yarns. You don't even know about yarns like I know about yarns. Like, bro, listen. There's levels to this. Right? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop saying. So if you notice, I stopped saying sweater knitter for a while because they got mad. They're like, listen, we already outcasts. You're not gonna come in here and mess us up even worse, right? Regardless of what anybody else wants to say, a lot of people say you buy a PlayStation because of their exclusives and all this other stuff. And that might be what brings the needle a little bit over. But at the end of the day, the highest played games on any of these consoles are going to be the Call of Duties, the Maddens, the 2Ks, all that stuff, right? So I believe him when he sounds worried. That's what I'm getting. I'm getting that he sounds worried if this deal goes through. So there's a lot of games on Game Pass that aren't owned by Microsoft. So you could possibly make a deal where a game still comes to Game Pass, right? That's not owned by Microsoft. And if they did deals like that, I think we still win as the gamers. So I'm asking you guys, do you guys know how Game Pass works? Because it seems like every single person that knows how to gallop knows how Game Pass works, and it will tell you that it's not making any money, it's not sustainable for the developer, and all this other stuff. And to me, it's just like, well, then I realized that a game being exclusive doesn't make it great.
Yeah.
There's plenty of third-party games that are great games, that are better than first-party games, right?
Yes.
And being able to have access to the game, that's the name of the game for me now. The name of the game for me is, what do I have access to that I could play like that? And, man, like I said, Xbox is fighting a different game right now.
So his perspective about the whole cloud gaming was pretty good, because it's someone that actually they're not like researching like we probably are, like all the information and all that. He's just someone that enjoy gaming, so that was a pretty good like input as how someone, someone casual will actually. That's something I like from his channel because he comes at it as a casual like perspective. Well, he's no longer a casual anymore, which basically that's why the whole if you don't follow his channel, that's why his whole hardcore sweater knitter comes from, because the Sony fanboys were attacking him that he wasn't a hardcore gamer. So he came up with this whole concept about like he wasn't a hardcore sweater knitter because he wasn't he wasn't like a heavy gamer. So he was trying to game a lot so he can become a hardcore sweater knitter, like basically a hardcore gamer. And then he gave us the story, which I personally didn't know, about how the sweater community attacked them, which was hilarious. It was pretty funny. You have anything to add, Simon?
Yeah, no, I mean that was one of those episodes where like as we were doing the episode and he was touching like beat by beat on the different occurrences
Yeah.
and the different conversations, it was hard not to have a permagrin, right? Like the dude was just so well versed, right?
Yeah.
in this side of things. It was I remember, like I just mentioned in the chat, but I remember walking away from this thing having kind of a stomach ache from how much we laughed that evening, because the dude just Doc Dark,
Yeah.
props to him, like he was nonstop with it.
He's
And it's like
very
as soon as
entertaining.
it started to calm down, all of a sudden he dropped something there in the conversation, and it was just it was hard not to laugh. So props to him. That was an entertaining episode.
Yes. After that, we had Eternal Shaddai, which he is part of Good Morning Xbox podcast, which I believe it's every Saturday morning. And he's a huge fan of the channel, so shout out to him. And we talked about Halo Battle Royale and a few other topics. So let me play the video.
Thank you. That introduction was crazy. And hello to the whole chat. I hope everybody's doing great. Knowing how Coalition is, especially when it comes to gears, we know that they like to put that to the max. So I wouldn't be surprised that they will push the system to the max, and we're gonna be in awe for that game. Remember, first things first, 343 is 500 plus employees. It's not about, let me get a certain affinity and just leave all the 500. That's kind of crazy. So we're talking about 500 plus to 200 plus for a certain affinity. When Little Mac start fighting King Hippo, hit him in the gut, couldn't get up. So
Just drops him and he lands woozy. He has no idea what just happened to him.
And it was like they wanted it $30 for
Oh.
it. Remember that? It was like $30.
They did that with several movies. They were doing that.
I think it was Black Widow also. They did it like that.
Yeah, yep.
So that was kind of like subscription plus the 30. So it's like
Yeah.
you gotta understand something. When you have Sony, which he said it, you have number one Sony. We're like number 4 or 5 if you're into the gaming space type. Literally, he said, yes, you have been on top for so long, so you got this ego with you, and nobody can take you down.
Hola, ¿dónde
está tu biblioteca? Yo tengo un gato en mi pantalones.
Oh,
no. ¿Qué hay de nuevo?
Y se cae de nuevo. Sale ese, hey, ¿qué es lo que, mi hermano?
Bless you.
The alcohol is getting very, very into his system.
Sorry, I had to slide that Spanish in. Oh man, I just gotta say, for what he said about the coalition, I'm actually very hype of what the Coalition, ID Software, Ninja Theory, and Playground Games, maybe a few others. I'm escaping right now. I'm kind of tired, but I'm very excited of some of the studios that Xbox have that are pretty like high on technical, technical graphics and all that. What they're gonna show us. So very hyped for that.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously the next year, if things fall the way that we think they're going to, and if they're going to land the way that we're told they're going to, this next year is going to be nuts, right? Like we've got a wealth of games, like a ridiculous wealth of games. It does make me nervous. Like I've said in the past, me being the old man, it makes me nervous that some stuff's going to get delayed. But even if some stuff gets delayed, like us as gamers are going to be very well fed for the next 12 months. So that'll be great.
Yeah. By the way, I don't remember if it was around the Danny Pena episode, but I believe we decided as a group to lower down our guests because we were having like a guest almost like every week. And it was kind of hard because of the way we do the episodes where we try to dig deeply into the guest, and it was kind of like stressing us. So that's why we kind of like lower down on that. It's not that we don't want guests, it's just that, it was hard.
Yeah, that's definitely why you start to notice like a little more of a gap in between the episodes as time went on. Like obviously we're at what, 46 now ish,
yes,
roughly. And it's one of those things where it's just with life being the way it is, we couldn't keep up with having guests like every other episode or every episode. Like it became to be a bit too much. And I feel like it's kind of a disservice as we went on, is like if we continued at that pace where life happens and we can't always make sure that we're, being as well prepped for the episodes as possible. We need to make sure that we were putting some good time in there so we could actually make the episodes worth the time for the guests, but also people watching.
Okay, now for this next episode, I think it was last moment, but we had an awesome guest, which was Steel Rain, and let me just play the video.
This was when I was on
like
vacation.
the blend that they're doing with the game is what has me interested, because I can understand why a lot of people be turned off, right? Hey, well, this isn't the classic Need for Speed. You're adding all this extra stuff. I just want Underground 2. I just want you to remake that game. And it's like, I can understand that, but you do have to draw in a new crowd also, right? It's not just going to be us that are trying to buy this game. You have to do something that's going to attract a younger audience, to be honest, and they like that type of shit. Sorry if I'm not allowed to cuss. They like that type of stuff. For me, I don't necessarily mind it. I think it adds on to the game because they're doing something. I always appreciate art. Shout out to Everborn Saga. I've coined this from him because he doesn't say it much anymore. Gaming is art. It should be treated as such, because I do believe in that. So when you look at the art of it and how they've blended the kind of realistic physics of the vehicles and then also the anime style, because it's not quite, it reminds me of like a Cowboy Bebop mixed with Initial D. If you want competition, then let's have competition. And that's kind of been Microsoft's standpoint this entire time, because no matter how you look at it, they've never been in first place. This entire time that they've entered the gaming industry, they've never been in first place, especially when it comes to the console market and coming into people's living rooms and such.
Man, beforehand, I gotta laugh though, because I mean, look what Paul just put in the chat.
Chat
Before I go, it's Steven Seagal on XBI, and I'm just laughing. Like seriously, I do like Steven Seagal.
Microsoft's trying to prove a point, man. They decided that Xbox is a pillar of their business, and are treating it as such, right? They're going to spend this type of money, and not only have they spent almost $100 billion in the gaming industry, but they're also looking to acquire more talent, acquire more studios. Satya said, "Hey, they're just that this wasn't the end. The board members are looking for more to get invested in because Microsoft sees the potential in this industry, right?" Plan B, they going on a spree, dog. Like any small development that you can think of, it's out of here. I mean, IOI, if you need who else? Crystal Dynamics, any Square Enix, anybody that you could think of, Capcom, anybody that you could think that's small, that's not that price tag, that's not going to get looked at as the same, because literally you could not compare any of those other deals to what you're comparing right now. As much as I want cloud gaming, and it may not be for me right now, whatever the case, that doesn't mean that I don't want to get there at some point, or that I don't want our internet to get so much better to a point where everybody does have access, whether that's Starlink with Elon or whoever decides to do it, to make sure that everybody can get connected. That's really going to be the only way. And whoever's making the most investment to see that done, which right now is Microsoft, that's who's going to be kind of behind that or ahead of that curve.
So for that episode, there was actually a lot, to take apart. I'm actually, since Silent wasn't there, I'll let him comment. Yeah, I mean, you can comment on anything you want. I'm gonna take we're gonna be right back. So I'm gonna let you, we talked about what happened if the Activision Blizzard deal would not go through. We talked a little bit about cloud gaming. We talked about so much. So I'll be right back if you can.
Hold on. Before you leave, I just wanted to see your response from this.
Okay.
Crazy Louie's goatee.
Oh my God, it was hilarious.
That
and
episode.
then someone
All right,
mentioned that he looked like Steven Seagal, which
Yes.
was pretty hilarious.
All right, you go do your thing. I'll cover for a minute.
All right.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, like, I wasn't on this episode. I was actually on a trip at the time, so I wasn't able to hang out with the group. I was bummed. Honestly. Like, when I figured out that they were having Still Rain on as the guest for this episode, it's like, damn, like, why not on the episode when I was actually there with them? Hopefully we'll get Still on again sometime in the near future, and I'll get to hang out with him. He's always been super fun to hang out with, especially during his shows on Saturday, but like anytime he's jumped in and hung out with me in Call of Duty, or when we're just talking games or whatever, he's a treat to just kind of hang out and talk with. So I was a little jealous, not gonna lie, that he got to enjoy that episode. But yeah, no, I mean, Steele is very much on point in regards to his comments about the ABK situation, right? And it's one of those things I've talked about a few times in the past, is like, in a scenario where Microsoft doesn't end up actually getting this acquisition, which it's looking like more often than not, maybe this happens, right? Like, maybe Microsoft doesn't get this. And so then we end up in a scorched earth scenario where, like, okay, if Microsoft doesn't get this acquisition, what happens after, right? Like, there are a lot of bad things that could happen for Sony in this scenario if this situation goes the way that it could. Like, if this thing gets declined, do you think Microsoft's gonna back off and be like, oh, okay, everything's just fine? No. I see a more vengeance-filled Microsoft in this scenario. If this deal doesn't go through and they have to eat the cost, which is like, what, 500 million or something for the time spent so far already. If they have to sit there and just eat that cost and not see anything from it at the end of the day, I see a Microsoft that comes to the table and is way more aggressive in regards to exclusivity rights for periods of time. I see a more scorched earth scenario. I really hope that this isn't the case because obviously Microsoft is kind of pointing to the fact that they want to be a little more kumbaya, as I've heard it recently, is like letting everyone have access to this. But if it hits a scorched earth scenario, I feel like the money's going to get dropped and bad things are going to happen that Sony is not going to like. Steam and Nintendo obviously have been very friendly about this situation. They've been willing to cooperate. Sony's the only one that pops out that's kind of a sore thumb in the scenario. So it's like Steele was saying, right? Is like in a worst case scenario, this could get dark. Like this situation could be really rough. And so I'm personally just kind of hoping it works out just fine on their side of things. And hopefully everyone gets together, they figure out a good agreement, and we move forward. Because honestly, again, it doesn't always come into play, but the human aspect of this whole situation, right? Like there's a lot of people whose jobs day in and day out have to deal with this situation, be it on Microsoft's side, be it on Activision's side. And it would just be nice, honestly, at this point, for those guys to have resolve. Like, have this done with, have some sort of finality so they could understand, like, hey, this is what things are going to look like moving forward. If that's not the case, I feel like there's so many people, like, I see my normal workday, and I see the anxiety that comes into play in my normal workday that has a set schedule. In a situation like this where there's uncertainty as to who's going to own you, what the plan is moving forward, stuff like that, I can't even imagine. So I hope on a human side of things, I hope everything gets sorted out. But obviously as a gamer as well, I'm conflicted because I want to see it benefit and I want to see us get to enjoy games as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. Still definitely pointed on this, and obviously it's been a through line for the last like year of our conversation, right? Is like I just want to see this done with so we can all enjoy games, and so the people that are employed in those positions can finally have some sort of resolve.
Definitely.
Sour, welcome back.
Yes. So we reach our this is gonna be our last and final guest, and the last episode I'm gonna highlight. But before that, I just want to say that I am going to try to upload this probably for the 22nd, which is when we really complete the 1 year cycle. But it's gonna be with no with no commentary over it. I just felt like this last episode I wanted to do it with commentary to kind of give like a little background of, kind of like a behind the scene what we felt through certain situation, like when Dark unfortunately had to leave and all the struggles we went to. So time kind of like to connect more with the chat, because unfortunately, like for me personally, sometimes it's hard for me to chat since I'm running the whole thing. But I felt like it would be a nice like behind the scene things to kind of connect more with the chat, which you guys are awesome, man. I really love you guys.
Yes, absolutely.
So anyway, our next guest and final one was Miss Juice Geek. We had her very recently. You guys should follow her on Twitter. Awesome person. And let me just play the video.
Okay. Well, if it's Phil Spencer sitting next to me, I'd probably just go, "Oh my God, it's Phil Spencer right next to me." We freak out for the first minute and a half, and then go into, "Oh, hello. It's me, Miss Des Geek. I am the Xbox MVP for Australia and New Zealand. I'm also that girl in Australia who constantly just screams Xbox this, Xbox that, and shows off controllers. You might see every week I've got a new controller. That's me. In the region that I live in, if we're just looking at Australia and New Zealand, I personally feel that a lot more can be done across all three brands. Each of them do things differently, but at the same time, it's not enough. I personally feel that there's just so many creators, core creators for Xbox, for PlayStation, and for Nintendo. But what I'm seeing is more about giving the biggest creators the opportunities and using the smaller creators as almost a launch pad into doing some sort of grassroots kind of work. Where's anticipated game? I don't think I have one for next year, to be honest. Like I try not to buy into getting excited
Yeah,
about new games because I tend to get very excited and then it gets delayed and I'm like, oh, okay. So
Yeah.
I've learned now to just not get super excited about upcoming games and I'll just wait till there's like actual confirmation. I'm also a collector as well, so I'll wait until like there's a collector's edition and they show off all the different bits and pieces. So yeah, I don't really have one for 2023. I actually worked for Crunchyroll
Oh, nice.
back a year and a bit ago for about 2 years. So I actually worked on Demon Slayer. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
big anime fan, and I'm very lucky that I got to work on anime as well. So yeah.
That is
Yeah, that's
cool. That is
awesome.
You gotta
I
play.
feel like if I do it and I play it on stream, I need to have like a heart rate monitor, and you'll just see like it going like that. It's a very grim sounding game, but Death Note is a great anime, and
Yeah.
I feel like it would translate into a really interesting action adventure game if done right, and adding in a bit of like the murder mystery kind of thriller aspect in there as well. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like that's a kind of game that probably hasn't really come out in the anime genre yet, so I'd like to see them try.
Okay, so real quick. So, it was great to have her. We had like a marketing perspective from her since she's, that's what she works on. So that was amazing. And then she gave a lot of input on different things. Like she worked on anime. She also said something that was pretty cool to hear from her and kind of like made me think myself was that she got to a point where she's no longer like excited for games. She just wait for them to actually release because of the fact that the games are either being delayed or they come out with issues obviously. So yeah, do you have something else to add to that?
I mean, along the same line, right? Obviously, the last like year, I guess since March is when this whole thing came into play as far as the Actibliss acquisition. It's one of those things where it's like it's hard not to be a little bit jaded, right? Like every time that we see some light at the end of the tunnel for the possibility with this acquisition or something, it just seems like there's always been some sort of negative connotation from the competition, or be it the the regulators or whatever, and it's hard. I mean, like as a gamer, at the end of the day, it's like I just want content, right? Like I just want to sit here. I want to play the games. I want to have fun at home. And ultimately, especially like I look at the content that Actibliss brings to the table. And a lot of that stuff is stuff that I could sit there and I could play with my son. I could play with my daughter. I could sit there and play Crash. I could play Diablo. I could play a lot of these things with my kids. And the longer that this thing gets pushed out, the longer that those things are just kind of stuck in like a limbo, to an extent. And it's just in a content creator level, like for us, right? We look at this thing week in, week out, and it's hard not to get to it's hard not to get to a point where you're just kind of complacent and you're just like, yeah, okay, this is great, eventually it'll get done, whatever. again, it's kind of where I have to bring myself back to the fact that there is a human element to this situation. There are people that are actually involved in this scenario, and fingers crossed there will be some sort of finality at some point in the near future, where those guys have kind of some sort of certainty as to like what the job is going to look like moving forward. Like, yes, it's great for me as a gamer to have these things on Game Pass or to have it on my console, but there's a lot of people who have jobs that at the end of the day, like this situation affects more than what I get to play on Game Pass or what I get to play on a console. So hopefully, hopefully we end up seeing something that's a good resolve that the human aspect actually sees a benefit for. What do you think, though?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like you said, and like we talked about it on the episode that ASCAP was in. I think it was like episode 9.
Yeah.
We went deeply into that, and yes, at the end of the day, sure, we as gamer, we want the deal to go through. We want to play these games, but there's people that are working in these companies, and this is affecting them. At the end of the day, they don't know if they're going to be able to keep their job, if they're going to be able to continue to work, if this deal go through or not. And then you also have the aspect that before this deal went through, or before this deal was even announced, they were having trouble in work because of the work environment. So hopefully, which is what everyone is hoping for, since Microsoft is known to have a good working environment, if this deal goes through, that will improve further for those workers. And I also want to end it with, there's a question from the chat which says, do you all think that Sony has burned some bridges with ABK? Dale, I honestly, I think it all gonna depend on at the end of the day if the deal goes through or not, because Sony is doing what they kind of think it's best for them, for their interests, because it seems these games are, especially Call of Duty, it's high value for them. But then at the end of the day, let's say the deal doesn't go through, it's all gonna depend on, is Microsoft willing to pay, let's say Activision Blizzard a pretty good deal, or at least pay enough where they won't continue to make these deals with Sony, because obviously Sony is paying them a good amount of cash or money in order to do these exclusivity deals, like exclusive content, early release day, etc. I think at the end of the day, money is what talks. So I think that's gonna be the main factor as if the bridge is burned or not. So they are gonna be pretty pissed off because they want this deal to go through. But then at the end of the day, if the deal doesn't go through, it is what it is. So it's gonna be like, okay, let's see what I can get. What's the best deal I can get out there? So I think that's gonna be a huge factor. I don't know what you think.
I think I'm gonna have to disagree with you a little bit. Honestly, in this scenario, I don't, just like I mentioned in the chat to RSJ fan, shout out to RSJ fan Rebecca in the chat, is like, yes, I honestly, in this situation, I don't see the relationship going back to a normal, to a normalcy in this situation. Like,
before you continue, real quick, to my defense, I do think that if the deal doesn't go through, that Microsoft is gonna be aggressive, and they are gonna sit down with them, and they're gonna be like, let's make certain deals, etc. And they're gonna secure that this doesn't continue to happen. That's what I think. But I was just talking in a perspective. Let's say that Microsoft decides to continue to be the nice guys, and they don't make these offers. Then eventually they can be like, since Microsoft is not giving me any offers, then I guess,
I think the time for niceties or someone being a nice guy, like Microsoft being a nice guy, has kind of gone out the window at this point, right? Like
It should. It should.
Phil at this point, as well as some of the other guys there, they've made it very clear that they're not mincing words anymore in this situation. They're done with the niceties. You know, it's very much the situation of like, okay, well that's great that you don't like this or whatever, but we've offered you these deals. We've offered you 10-year exclusivity as far as like access, or we've offered you these things. And Sony continues to basically slap them in the face with a response, which the response is no. Like we're not going to go for this. And that's the thing is I don't see the relationship being the way it was before. Like Microsoft, obviously, you know, they had the Call of Duty deal back in the day. Then Sony picked it up. They've been using it and utilizing it for the last decade-ish. I think just with the scenario that's in play, again, it goes back to the situation too, right? Of like, you've got all these people that are sitting here waiting for this thing to go through. And now Sony's digging in their heels and saying, hey, we don't want this thing to go through. Like, it's kind of tone deaf in the fact that, like, Sony's solution to this situation is decline the deal, prevent it from happening. All the people that are at ActiBliz then have to deal with the repercussions of this situation. If Microsoft takes it on, from what we understand at least, it looks like it's a better scenario for all of the human side of things going forward, but also as far as gamers. Like it seems like it's a better scenario for everyone involved. With Sony, it kind of feels like someone throwing a tantrum and then everyone suffers. And that's not awesome for anyone involved.
Not according to Lena Khan.
Well, you know what? I will go ahead and say, like, I don't care what side you land as far as the political spectrum, but there are people wrong on both sides at all times. Just like a broken clock is right 2 times a day. Every now and then things happen, and someone ends up getting, you know, support. But in this situation, I think again the human aspect wins out. Like, yes, I would love for this deal to go through, but realistically, I'm not just looking at it at the, oh, I get stuff in the Game Pass side of things. I'm looking at the human aspect. These people look like they are going to have a better work scenario if this goes through than if Sony just throws a fit and says, no, this can't go through, and then the CMA and everyone else decides that they're going to follow in lockstep with what Sony said. I just, personally, at this point, I want it to be done with. I don't care what the scenario is, but I just really wish that whatever happens, it works out for the people who are stuck in the middle.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what's most important.
So be it if I don't get a bunch of games on Game Pass. So be it if Sony doesn't get their way one way or another. I don't care. But if I were in that situation, if I put myself in that situation, I would want something that would be better for myself, that would be better for my family, that would be better for my well-being. And whether that's a bunch of people getting games or not, so be it.
Okay, well, you know what I do care about? Our awesome community. And with that said, I gotta say, you know, we gotta end this. It's been an awesome episode. I actually, I'm sorry for everyone. I wasn't expecting this to be this long. I thought it was gonna go quicker, but you know, it's we've been going through the whole year, which has been awesome. So anyway, I'm gonna try to upload this without our commentary, but you can always go back to this one if you want to hear our commentary with a little background, etc. I know it's pretty long, but if you want to hear the whole thing, hopefully you can break it up in parts. But yeah, I'm just gonna say goodbye. I'm not even like you guys know where you can find me. It's Sourblow everywhere, and of course Wednesday here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but at least Eastern Standard Time. But this is our last episode of the year, so we'll be back January, which I don't think we have discussed which day exactly. So stay tuned to Twitter. We will announce. Silent, anything you want to add? And
yeah, no, I just like you were saying, thank you all for watching. Thank you for hanging out with us for the last year. Hopefully it's been a fun experience for you. It's been a lot of fun for me personally. Like I was saying, going into all this stuff, like this was what I wanted to do with the other guys previously, with podcasting. And so when everything fell through and these guys reached out, Sour, Crazy, Dark, which unfortunately can't be with us now on a regular basis. It was the right place, right time. So thank you all. Stay with us. We've got more content coming.
Yes. Happy holidays and goodbye, everyone.
Cheers.
Hold on, I can't find my outro. All right, goodbye now.
Thank you for listening to the XBI Podcast. Please make sure to like and subscribe on the way out. We'll see you next time.